Pause. Okay.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the previous meeting? There's no corrections. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Gail, second by Justin, all in favor? Sheriff report, Cody.
Wow, jump right into it.
It's like the blue club over there.
What's that?
It's the blue club over there.
The Blue Club, yeah. We coordinated tonight. So I have 3 months of reports to go through since we missed them. I don't know how in depth you want me to go. In March, there's a total of 323 things. Let's see. So 112 of those were within the city limits of St. Francis. And if, I want to notice, as we've talked about the last several meetings, the increase of doing traffic enforcement, and that's our goal for the, this coming year, 2025, is an increase of traffic enforcement doing that. I'll point out we did 10 traffic stops in St. Francis, 33 total for the county. We go to April, traffic stops was only 4 in the city of St. Francis, but 32 in the whole county, and a total of 301 things, with 86 of those things being in St. Francis. And we'll move to May, a total of 412 things in May, with 118 of those being in St. Francis. 7 traffic stops in St. Francis and 82 total traffic stops. So we are increasing the number of traffic stops. As you know, we're gonna start writing tickets in city ordinance for traffic violations that we write tickets for in the city limits of St. Francis. That's we set a certain date, kinda got off to a slow start because one deputy went on vacation, another one deputy went on vacation, another one is on military deployment. So it took us a couple weeks to get everybody the fine schedule and tell them what we were gonna do and get that incorporated. But now everybody, except for the one on military deployment, because he's not back yet, has those fine schedules and the directions and understands what we want to do and what we want to write on city tickets and what we want to write on municipal court tickets. So the point of that being, our traffic stops have been steadily going up. And they probably will during the summer months, and then when we get back in the winter, they'll start going down because there's just not as much traffic on the roads as there is during the summer. But that is the goal that was our goal for 2025, is to increase those numbers, get on the highways more, get on the streets more, get on the highways as they come through town more and more. And I think we're achieving those goals if you look at the numbers. Compared to, I should have grabbed some random ones for a year or two ago compared to them, but that's a significant increase, especially when you get up to April, or May, sorry, when it's, I know it wasn't an increase in the city with 7, that's about average of what the last 3 months have been, but 82 total traffic stops, that's a tremendous amount of traffic stops for our size of department and our county size and our traffic count. Of that, I'm proud to say, very few complaints. To write that many tickets and not get very many complaints, we're making solid stops, legitimate good stops, not nitpicky, tiny stops that people are complaining about. We participated in a couple STEP programs with Kansas Safety Traffic Resource Office. I'm probably misusing that term, but we participate in the programs. This spring we've been working with them on their programs and stuff like that to try to do things better. There's some other things coming through the Safety Traffic Resource Office in the state that I'm hesitant to talk about, because if they don't come through, then I gotta come back in like last time with the grant and say, hey, I tried, but it didn't work. But we're trying to do some things. Like I said, 2025's goal is traffic safety. That, I choose a goal every year and try to increase our knowledge or increase our ability to do something, take on that problem and try to face it. And like I said, 2025 is traffic safety, and that's mainly where we've been focusing any extra time, any extra efforts that we have is on that. So that's about it for our sheriff's report. So not saying there's any properties that are in disrepair or anything, I just don't know if there's any plan to address some property cleanups anytime in the future, or anything that you need us to participate in, but, so, but I know it's that time of year where weeds grow and everything else, so we're here to help you on that.
What about vehicles on the streets?
The vehicle on the street, in that new ordinance, or the ordinance that you guys adopted, is the maintaining, I can't remember exactly what it says, something about maintaining the blocking on the street, remember the name of it.
It's not a new ordinance, it's in the STO, which
The
we've
STO,
adopted,
but
it's
the-
just what we've applied a new fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, the new fine and stuff, there's that, and it's $10 a day additional one, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some
Flat tires.
Dave
Is that
Connors
one?
and
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, you know, if you see something, we don't always see something, if you see something in your neighborhood, let us know. Yeah, like I said, we're always willing to help, I know it's that time of year when these things start to be more noticeable, or people are out more, and like I said, weeds are growing and stuff like that, so. You have got couple music events, be coming up and stuff, that will be part of that one, obviously is out in the county, it's a county fair and stuff, so. I expect we're gonna have a pretty active rest of the summer. The only other issue I think you guys discussed last time is the popularity of electric bikes and scooters is really taken off this summer, and that's been kind of a weird situation, or an awkward situation, as you know, they're classified into 3 classifications. The first 2 classifications, anybody can operate. The 3rd classification, you have to have a driver's license, but, you know, it's also, I guess, to be forward, to gain the probable cause, to stop the vehicle, to check its classifications, it's gotta be going over a certain speed, you know, to say, that's obviously not a class 1 or class 2 bicycle. If they never go over that speed, you know, we just can't stop them and search the certification level and say, hey, is that what certification level is that bike, class is that bike? But it is split up, and the electric scooters follow the same statute as electric bikes. So class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 3, you have to have a license. Class 1 and 2, you do. So, and I know there's been some questions in the community in here about that, and that's what it comes down to. Is 1 and 2, anybody can ride them. Class 3, you have to have a license. But unless they're going over 28 miles an hour, you don't really have a reason to pull them and check that classification.
Have you had talks with kids?
Yes, I've noticed, and I have noticed since we started stopping and talking to kids, kids, I bet you could read in the newspaper 1950, you know, people concerned about kids running stop signs on bikes. I don't know how to combat that. We've stopped talking, but the one thing I have noticed is an increase in kids wearing helmets while riding the electric scooters and the electric bikes, as we're stopping to talk to them and talking to some parents about it and stuff. The last 3 or 4 weeks, I've noticed a huge increase in kids wearing helmets while they're riding these things. And to me, that's a great first step. Like I said, we'll always have, I just don't think the 9-year-old mind can comprehend when you talk about stopping at the stop sign and stuff. Because I guarantee it was a problem when I was a kid. We got stopped and talked to about running stop signs on our bikes, our pedal bikes. I guarantee since there's been stop signs and there's been bikes and there's been kids, it's a problem. And it's a scary problem. And like I said, we've been stopping and addressing, we also addressed the helmet issue. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're getting compliance out, because I'll still see kids run the stop sign and go talk to them about it, but the helmet seems to be the thing we're getting compliance from people on. And I've noticed, like, if you go by the pool or up to the gym, you'll see the bikes parked there. A month ago, you just saw the bikes, now you see the bikes parked there with helmets hanging off of them, you see the kids wearing them, so.
We appreciate you talking to the kids.
And like I said, I think it's gonna be on into the school year, like I said, that kids and bikes, I think it's continual you gotta stay on it, it's a continual safety issue, so.
What about the dirt bike issue?
Hopefully after either Saturday or Sunday night, hopefully it's resolved, but I haven't heard anything today about it being out and about. So, we'll see. Some people are more stubborn than others.
Anything else for Cody?
And just so you know, the talking with the kids, they're not counting underneath traffic stops. So,
How many kids per sheet on traffic stop?
it's not on here, so I can't tell you. I know probably about 4 to 1. 4 warnings to one ticket. I can't give you an exact number. That's probably in my mind, probably roughly works out like 4 to 1. So every fifth traffic stop is resulting in a ticket. We usually set a parameter, you know, this much over will get you pulled over, this much over will get you a ticket. And we stick to that. We don't make the decision based off of the traffic stop itself. It's a parameter that the deputy is setting that day, maybe based off of weather, traffic count, how much people are on the road. Also, if I pulled this person over before, I know, for example, one of our tickets, deputy pulled a guy over on a Thursday, gave him a warning, on a Saturday, pulled him over again, gave him a ticket, even though it was below that where we would normally write a ticket. You know, you get pulled over twice a week, you're gonna get a ticket. Did they run the stop sign? Or did they roll the stop sign? You know, these are the things, the difference between a warning and a ticket. Did they have all the proper registration? Did they have proper insurance? All that stuff will determine whether they write a ticket or a warning as well. But like I said, it's a predetermined thing when you go out. It's not based off of that stop, who it is, what it is. It's, has this person been warned before? Has this person been on the radar? Or was this the first time I pulled them over? And were they going more than, let's say, 10 miles an hour at speed? We are a lot more picky in the lower speed limits, just because there's a huge difference between 65 and 75 on the highway when there's no traffic around, than there is, you know, 45 to 55 going through town. And you have people crossing the highways and stuff like that. We're a little bit more picky about writing tickets to people who are violating the speed limits in the lower speed zones. I know that sounds opposite because 75 sounds like a lot higher speed than 55, but myself and my guys are more likely to write you a ticket for going 10 over 45 than you are 65. Been involved in a lot of, as you guys are aware, the last 20 days, 30 days, a lot of storms. At least once a week we're out doing something. We've had several tornadoes on the ground, lots of damage, and a lot of storm spotting that we've been doing as well.
Nothing else for Cody?
Do you need to stay for anything?
Nope, I don't think so.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Here, a motion to accept the file of the sheriff's report.
So moved.
Moved by Larry, second by Dale, all in favor? New business options, domestic.
They're requesting a call.
I'll stay for that. That's
Okay.
Hi Jennifer, this is Larry with City of St. Francis,
Hi, Larry.
and we've got all the city council members here. I guess the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, great. So I'm Jennifer Hecker. I'm the Executive Director at Options, and I want to thank you for letting me join you from, I'm actually in Topeka right now, getting ready for some training tomorrow. And just wanted to share a little bit with you about what the last year has been like in service to Cheyenne County. largest, has about 10 counties. We serve victims and their families who have experienced domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, dating violence, and human trafficking, specifically sex trafficking. And, you know, if we really boil it down, I would say we exist to serve you, your friends, your neighbors, your community. We are at your service. Some of the things that we do include providing crisis intervention, rental assistance for folks who, you know, maybe need to leave their current living situation because it's unsafe. We can provide up to 2 years of assistance with rent, as well as helping them get their utilities back. We know that about 90% of victims of domestic violence experience financial abuse as well. So when they're leaving those dangerous situations, they're also leaving with ruined credit, outstanding bills in their name that they did not incur or were forced to incur. So but by being able to provide some of those financial safety nets, we can help clients that we work with get back on their feet and rebuild their credit so that that's not another thing that's pulling them back toward their abuser. We offer free education in schools about healthy versus unhealthy dating relationships. We provide free training to healthcare providers, law enforcement. If when your community is ready to start providing lethality assessments, whenever there's a domestic violence call, we can provide that training for free and the ongoing support for that. You can see in the materials that you receive through email that of the 8 protection orders that were offered in the community, only we weren't able to help with any of them. And one thing that we can offer for free to city or county clerks is a free laptop that has our teleportal on it. So if someone comes in to file a protection order, they should always be able to contact an advocate to help them through it. So that, because the regular person, we're not born with the how to handle a protection order. That didn't come in my human handbook. So we need advocates to help folks with that, and the clerks actually cannot provide that service. So we can offer free laptops to the community through the courthouse or a library or another location that comes preloaded with the software, and to be able to help people file for those protection orders. We also provide safety planning, law enforcement advocacy, court advocacy, all sorts of things. I could go on and on. We rely on volunteers in the community to help get the word out and help us to provide services in our big service area. And we rely on federal grants to do that. And unfortunately, I'm sure everyone's been following the budgeting going on in the news. That it's getting harder for programs like ours to access federal grants. We've had some grants that we had to step away from because the funding for them was pulled, and that's happening at a time when our capacity is increasing.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Carol, you're up at the senior center.
I represent the senior center, the west end of Main Street, Washington Street. And I look around our room here, and there are some of you that I do not ever see down there for lunch. Why is that? We have a great kitchen staff right now, and we want to keep both of them very much. And we need to give them a raise. And Hayes pays a portion of it, but then we add to it in order to give a little bit more incentive. It's basically, from Hayes, it's basically, minimum wage. And, probably a little bit more than that, but it's not an awful lot. So, we do rely on public funds, city and county funds, to continue to help us maintain our staff. We have 3 paid people, 2 people in the kitchen and a cleaner, and those are our only paid people right now. We need a manager very, very badly. Bob Ogden and I are taking turns trying to be the manager. He's doing a lot better job than I am, I think. But we just really need a person to be a manager. But for $30 a day, it's only 4 hours, but we cannot find anyone. I have spoken with the Area Agency on Aging that they really need to increase the stipend. Right now, their stipend is $10 per day for the 4-hour day as a manager. And currently, the board has allocated $20 per day to make it the 30. We really need to increase that. We've had a few inquiries, but then when we tell them what the pay is, they say so long. And so that's a difficult position for us right now. Grants unfortunately don't cover operating expenses except in rare occasions, and we don't fit that category of a rare occasion. So we do have to rely on city and county generosity to help us keep our good staff. We have taken in approximately $50,000 in grants this last 2 to 3 years. And you're going to see more changes very soon. We are putting siding over the building. And in October, we're having a birthday party for our building. It will be 100 years old. And it's a sturdy old building, and we really want to maintain it. And we have put in new ceiling fans. We insulated part of the building that had no insulation. We've put in better lighting. And that has come at our out-of-pocket expenses. And we have really been enjoying doing that. So we invite you, as well as we are hoping that you will continue to support us, but we do invite you, come down and have lunch with us. We can get you in and out in 30 to 35 minutes. That's a pretty good deal. All right, do you have questions for me?
Did you have a budget, did you guys do a budget sheet or
I didn't bring
financials?
one,
Okay.
no. 12,400 is about what we pay per year for salaries and utilities. And, that's going to go up. So that gives you a little bit of an idea that everything else has to be grants, or we've done enough fundraisers that we've been able to do the lights and the, new ceiling fans. They're a pretty slick little model. You'll like those. And so, staff and utilities are what we rely on you and
was, didn't you guys raise it to 10 this year?
Yeah.
Yes, you did raise it to 10. And we are very, very grateful for that. The books are open. Our treasurer wasn't able to be here this evening, but she would be more than happy. Our treasurer is Joe Hagney, and she's really good. She puts me down a little bit here and there because I want to do a little bit more than she would, and so we make a good team. And she would be more than happy to share information if you have questions for her.
Are we gonna meet the budget?
What's that?
Are we
Yes,
gonna
we
meet the
need a
budget? Their
So
budget?
they've brought it in the past.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Well, she gave us a figure on kind of what they're shooting for.
Well, we appreciate all that you do.
We are enjoying it very much, and we invite others to come and enjoy it with us. We're wanting to expand some of our services if we can. We have some very interesting speakers that come and give us information that we really, all of us need. We have health checks once a month from the clinic, and Senior Life Solutions comes and visits with us. The extension office comes and visits with us, and Melinda Daly with the extension service is going to begin the strength and balance classes that have been routinely here in town. She's going to, she asked if she could do those at the senior center, and by all means. So we are hoping for more and more things like that to come up too. So would you like a budget from Joe?
Would you like to see them?
Probably
You have
should.
something, yeah.
Sure,
That'd be
I
great.
will visit with her, and she'll get something up here and just give it to
Yep.
Lila.
Mhm.
All right, we'll do that.
That'll work, alrighty. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Carol.
much for letting me come.
Yes. Zona, you're up.
Was I daydreaming?
See you, Carol.
Okay, I'm with the Cheyenne County Food Pantry, and we've appreciated all the help you guys have given us in the past. We are seeing an increase in families coming through this year. We've gone from roughly 28 to 32 families now to 35 to 45 families the last couple months. Food costs have definitely gone up. They will continue to go up every year. And I know our figures different, they go back and forth depending on the Hispanics moving in and out and working the dairies and Calicrate and the other aspects. So as they go through and their deal is up, then our numbers go down a little bit, but not always. So we had like 7 new Hispanic families come through. We've had 2 other nationality families come through. We've had a couple families come through asking if they could get anything even though they've moved in with another household that's already getting. So we're seeing an influx of people needing more and more. We want to be able to provide more food than what we've done in the past. I wanna be able to increase our canned good output instead of 1 can of corn to 2 cans of corn and so forth. Same thing with macaroni and cheese and the basic staples. Some of the families, especially if they've got 4 or 5 kids, they could use more than one little itty bitty 12-ounce jar of peanut butter. I wanna be able to provide them more, maybe offer more to the larger households versus just the single senior citizen that comes through. Like I said, we greatly appreciate all the help you guys have given us in the past, and we'd like to try to get it again. And I did bring a budget sheet, but it's only gonna show for the 6 months of this year. Because we did it last year, at the end of the year for all of last year.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Zona?
So the sheet doesn't show So, well, have we given anything this year yet?
We got it at the end of December.
Okay. For
We
the
get
whole
it
year?
Huh?
Did we give the money for the whole year, or was it just,
It was for last year.
it was for last year?
Yeah.
Didn't we pay them? I thought we gave you 2,500 at
Yes,
the beginning of
we did.
this year. Okay, yeah, 2,500
So what
For
we're
this year.
requesting is for the new fiscal.
for 2026.
For the 2026 budget.
Yes.
Gotcha.
This is
Yeah.
what I've got for just this portion of 25.
Pass that around. And we'll have this at the budget workshop.
Okay.
And if it makes it easier, you guys go from June or July to June for your
No.
fiscal years?
It's a calendar fiscal
That's
year.
a calendar fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay. And I can't, our donations, I can't justify how much we're gonna get for the next 6 months. I can't justify the food costs for the next 6 months.
Sure.
I know during the summer, we can't order produce through the food bank because I can't hold it for 3 weeks. It'll go bad. So we're gonna go to the grocery store, and we have to order produce through them, which is 3 times the amount I pay the food bank.
Bless you, Noah.
Is this a copy we can keep? And
Yes.
then we'll have it for
Yes.
next time so we can look at. Anything else for Zona?
Can I ask her a question?
Go ahead.
Do you have like food drives, like, do,
There are, some organizations will do a food drive for us. Like the elementary school, they usually do one toward the end of the year to get canned goods in for the holidays. We've had Prairie Land in the past, has done one for us. Is it Scholar, Schuler? Schooler. Has done a couple can drives in the past also. So it's sporadic as to who wants to do a food drive for us. Mill and Seed did a raffle ticket for a smoked ham, and it went over so well that he did a second smoked ham and did the raffle tickets and donated the money to us.
and is there someplace in town, like the grocery store used to have
We
places?
put out a barrel toward the holiday times, Thanksgiving and Christmas, they'll put out the barrel for us. But any other time, the barrel sits there empty. Yeah,
Thank you.
But you do have a spot up there at the food pantry.
yes, we do have I have a drop box out front of the food pantry, it's a covered box. It's an old trunk, toolbox out of the back pickup truck. That people can put donations in there, as long as it's not perishable. So any non-perishables can be dropped off up there. I check the box 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night.
Well, thank you, we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Anything else for Zona? Alright, have a good evening.
Thank you. You
Yeah.
too.
Lisa,
Donna.
you're up.
Hi guys, I was here a couple weeks ago.
Lisa?
Hi. Didn't know if you guys had any questions
Okay.
for me, and I also brought Travis Howard, the contractor builder, and Scott LeSueur will be getting his big equipment up there or wherever to get the land ready to build upon, and his wife Keisha. So if you have any questions for them, they're more than happy to answer anything. I don't know the process, I know it's lengthy with boards and everything. Didn't know if you had made a decision if it's, an okay lot for us to use and to purchase, or, I know you said you can't donate, acquire it somehow, and that's kind of where we would like to know if that's gonna be approved site for this. Chris handed out, I did have young man from Kansas Commerce, Tim Zimmerman. And he did, and it's kind of confusing, but what this study shows is the investment, the return on your investment, if you would, give an incentive for the land, meaning, you know, a fairly inexpensive purchase, and the land, abatement for 10 to 15 years. So if you look, every page has, underneath the housing impact, it says incentive for land and land abatement. And then it says to the city of St. Francis. So under the city, the rate of return is down on the right. And if you work with us with the land and the abatement for, 10 or 15 years, whatever, the return of your investment would be 64.7%. Because he figured in everything that's gonna be, bringing to St. Francis. People will be staying there and buying groceries for gas and shopping, bringing their families part-time. I've had nurses stay for 3 months and they say, well, can I bring my family to visit on the weekends or whatever? So, those people are gonna come in, and just the general, income of the taxes that it's gonna incur and the utilities, that's just a whole, other way to gain some money. And then the second page is the county, and their rate of return is 252.9%, which is all very good. The next page is the school benefits of a new build and new development coming in. Let's get that page. Is about the same as the county, it's 253.2%. And then they actually went into the state of Kansas for the incentive there, and that is 23,319%. So overall, everybody benefits from a new housing development for all entities. If we buy the lumber here, that's just gonna have the lumberyard have an increase and use local contractors and HVAC people or anything. So anyway, I wanted to get that to you just for another way to look at it, so. And really, just need to know if you guys are on board with it, and if you are, do you want a verbal offer? Do you want a written one? We're gonna have whoever, whenever Sandra do, the contract and everything and get all the terms ironed out. So I don't wanna push, but.
I know we talked about it a little bit at the last meeting, Bud had brought some things up. Have you looked at any other locations?
We did, like I said, they're smaller lots. And so in order to start with the 3, just because that's gonna give us 6, units. I don't know that we could do more than that at this point. We'll have to see what the need is. But if we do need to expand, that'd give us room on this 1.3 acres to do that. Other areas, the infrastructure's there, which is another huge savings. And just, the dirt work is gonna be, right away, and then the bills, but other lots, I know the city-owned property down, Spencer, around in that area. I didn't go by it, but,
There's some concern about possibly being a floodplain there.
yeah, there may be in the floodplain, and I think the city has equipment on there. Do they store equipment or something in the infrastructure? Didn't know that. It'd be nice to have something to occupy that piece of land that would be, a draw, and have people coming through town, which we have a lot of traffic, see that we're being, progressive and growing and providing, a need that's here. Other lots in the town, I don't know that I would choose that lot down west. I would, if this one is not gonna be approved, then we would look at single lots and have them scattered all over town.
We were curious as to what's your point of access gonna be? Is it gonna be directly off the highway?
Well, it was for the hotel. I mean, that's how you got
Maybe.
in there.
Maybe.
What do you mean?
Well, we talked about coming down the road and coming in the south side.
Who?
Well, that access alley, whatever you call it.
So the county owns
The concerns that I've heard are people coming off the highway going into a residential area and it being a safety issue. That's just some of the things that I've heard from different people in the community.
Okay, well, my initial thought, and you know, these guys, Scott probably especially has had a lot of experience maybe with development, but my thought was to use the frontage for signage and landscaping, more of an entryway. You're not gonna hit a house right away.
So you're talking about pushing it back from the.
Absolutely. These buildings, those duplexes will be more in the middle to leave space on the south side if we need to build more.
The question was on the back side, that is, that access road, that's, county or who's?
It's owned by the county, and so the end goal will be to see if the county would
County.
approve us to
And
get some road access.
That was gonna be the question I have is, any way, shape or form, you need to find out if that's gonna be available, if they're even gonna work with that before we go buying ground or anything. You need to go and approach them and see if that's gonna be an accessible route.
Well, does it have to be? I mean, if we, contact the road and bridge people or Kansas, whatever, to see how much we need, that 1.3 acres gives you plenty of frontage if we needed to, work with whatever their guidelines are. I'm fine with that. I don't know that we'd need that. I mean, it's not a view through now, it's not needed, and at some point, if we do need to build back, that's quite a few years away, and by that time, we can deal with it then.
So you're talking single point of access off of the highway.
Yeah. I mean, unless we can't, unless somebody else says we can't, this is another option, I'm
So-
fine with
That's
that.
what was there before.
Yeah, it's no different than the motel being there.
And
Yeah.
there was a residence
So-
there too.
Yeah.
It was a headache.
And there's, if you look, there's a lot of businesses along the
Sure.
highway that have the same access points. So, I don't know what it would
And
be
I haven't-
different, residential, you got the apartments up there, you got the assisted living, they're all turning into that drive,
Yeah.
going into there, and that's residential, basically.
That's what I've been hearing is, are you gonna come right off the highway or are you gonna come down and get Samaritan Road and then turn around?
Well, I don't think we'd have to.
You could if you had to, though. Isn't there an alleyway or something?
Well, there is, but that's the county.
There's
road.
an
Oh,
alley,
it's the county
basically the
road.
county
Yeah.
property
Oh,
touches
okay.
it, and so
Gotcha.
you're driving on the county property coming off of the Samaritan Road, basically
Right.
that, so.
I don't know that
And
would
they'll
be
give
the
us access.
best access anyway, going behind, Fromholtz. That probably wouldn't be the,
The maintenance piece.
Yeah.
I think Fromholtz owns that alleyway. They own the alley behind them.
Behind
and then-
them.
So you'd be further back coming in if you
Yeah.
came in that direction, so, and then we don't know if the county will be willing to maintain that road, or if we'll be responsible for maintaining the road.
Yeah.
Or if we'll even need access.
I'm all for it. Build it. Start tomorrow.
Travis?
Chris, yeah.
We just have to come up with a price then to.
And I don't, I'm trying to think how we set that when we first. I brought the paperwork because it's been listed
What's this?
through
It's
CCDC
been- yeah,
this
it's been-
entire
you guys
time,
haven't listed,
so
I don't remember.
I don't know. The current asking price was $15,280 is what we've been advertising it for since 2018.
And that's just partial recovery over expenses that we've done,
Mm-hmm.
that's maybe half.
Yeah, it was, I'd have to look, but it was,
Yeah,
it was
okay,
over
28.
25,000 for the excavation of the building and stuff.
Yeah, 28.
But we
fountain
got
could
some
be part
ground,
of that.
we had some grants for some of that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kinda look at at it too, is it, how long has it been, 7 years, 8 years?
Oh, yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
we haven't had
It's been-
anybody.
It hasn't been
Yeah.
income producing for the
No.
city, and it's been, you know, you had to maintain the lot, get people out there to mow, it wasn't, you know, contributing to taxes.
Yeah.
So it really hasn't been income generating for almost a decade.
I
And
guess the
with
one
this,
concern I would have is, initially we had it out for sale to build a motel type thing, and so now if we're letting somebody come in and buy it for something else, do we need to advertise it? You know what I mean, to make it fair.
Nobody's came forward, nobody's even come up with a
No,
plan.
no.
We've had it on
Yeah.
Zoom, or,
In the 3 years that I've been at CCDC, since it has a phone number on it, I'm the one that gets the calls. And I think I probably had 6 calls in 3 years. And not one of them has been for any type of lodging, I'll just say.
Right.
Correct, that's what I'm saying, but they would be interested for some other sort of housing or something else, you know what I'm saying, that we probably turn them down
Out of the
because.
6 calls that I've had conversations with, I would say one of them would be something that we would actually want on the highway for people to see as they're driving past. I'll just put it that way. So, I've had 2 different chemical companies contact me for it. which-
Any problems with utility access at all? Up in there?
I mean, we have a transformer there from the motel, which may not.
How many places you build?
well, 3 duplexes,
3 duplexes.
Yeah, so it'd be 6.
like 6
Six units.
units, 6
We
units.
might have to up that transformer a little bit. Then we'll figure out trash, how we do that. Sewer? Sewer should be below the, no. Yeah, should be below buildings somewhere, I have to look for sure, yeah, that's fine.
Who maintains it once it's built?
We will, I mean, the nonprofit,
CCDC will most likely hire somebody specifically for maintenance.
yeah, I wanted to have it to where there's snow removal included in that and the landscaping. Not an official HOA, but, they'll probably be limited maybe. But the goal is really not for long-term rentals unless we can't fill up with temporary. I had a nurse literally call me last week, wanted to rent my little house for 3 months, middle of July to the middle of October. She's gonna be working here. She's from Colorado. And, those are the kind of people we're looking for.
You're looking more short-term?
Yes, not Airbnb or long-term, but these people, the young professionals that are coming to work, there's traveling nurses, doctors, you know, the school teachers probably need only a 9-month lease. It's not gonna be long-term unless we can't fill them, you know, but our goal is to get the short-term people here to come and stay in a, you know, nice area and a nice place, and maybe they love it. We got a lot of amenities in St. Francis, if they golf, if they go to the Riverwalk, if they go to the tap, you know, we have a lot. And we need to accentuate those to those people that are coming here to work, and hopefully they stay, bring their family. You know, there's a lot of good that comes out of providing homes. The teachers in Bird City, they struggle, because they can't qualify for the low income over there, but there's no other really options for them. So just getting people here and experiencing how great St. Francis is really, you know, my goal, and to provide some decent housing.
Are these like a single level?
Yeah.
Double?
Yeah, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, maybe 1.5 if we can work the magic on floor plan. Garage,
Right,
yep, attached garage,
driveway up there?
yeah, probably. Yeah, kinda thought maybe doing it in the cul-de-sac, Scott mentioned, you know, drive in, but have the duplexes, 1 kinda like right in front, and then 2 on, or 1 on each side, and kinda be able to go in and out. That's why I don't know that the back drive is gonna need, you know, access to that.
So if you add on the back, how would you get to the bathroom?
Well, we could maybe go between the houses, if there was a drive there and access, or around.
Yeah, as a nonprofit though, there'll be no return on taxes on that.
If it stays, so we need to go through the nonprofit for grant purposes, and then hopefully a some point be able to quit claim deed it over to for-profit side of CCDs. So eventually there will be property tax, it's just not in the
Is
beginning.
it partial?
I believe that's how it works, because CCDC is a 501c6, so not a C3, so we pay partial property tax currently, but
Which nonprofits would pay property tax, because it's a different assessment rate.
is that house?
Oh.
I know it's lower than the
Commercial.
normally would be, but.
So then when you were talking the abatement, so what were you talking?
I think he figured, and he did it so fast, and I was like, I'm not getting this, but I think, to sell the land really inexpensively to where we can acquire that and save our funds for the actual, project, the land, and then the tax on the land, not the income, or not the taxes, but just the taxes on the land itself, not the structures. So, I don't know how.
The neighborhood revitalization program is basically what's
Similar to that.
Because I know that lasts for 10 years, it's a, starts high, goes low.
Right.
Yep, so there would be
If we-
taxes for each year, 2 years, okay.
Yeah, and then eventually it would run out, and then it would be.
You lost me, say that again, there, you would have taxes initially?
So the neighborhood revitalization program that
Right.
the county has, basically, if they would apply, they would pay the taxes on the land throughout
Spread out.
forever. But as far as the improvement value, the first year, they would get 100% of the taxes back, and then 90, and then 80 of the participating tax
Yeah.
entities, which the
So-
city participates, so.
Yeah, so basically, at
see-
the end of 10 years, is when we'd actually be paying the full property.
And I think he did a 15-year out, but
They're using that 10-year
Mhm.
program that we've got established for new.
Yeah.
But I originally thought that, as a nonprofit, you wouldn't pay, property tax as a nonprofit.
We would need to apply for that.
I'm sorry?
We would have to apply for that through the state if we went the route of
Yeah.
using the nonprofit to not pay property tax.
And like I said,
It's not
nonprofits
automatic.
do pay, like, they're not exempt, nonprofits
Yeah.
do pay tax, it's just a different assessment rate, so.
you guys have anything anybody have any questions for these guys?
Are you happy with the price?
What's that?
Are you happy with the price?
The 15?
Yeah.
I'd rather get it less.
Our hard part is the dirt work that needs to be done
Yeah.
is a little more significant than we thought it would be, so
Yeah.
hoping to offset some of that with
Oh,
the.
it's perfectly level over there.
We're doing two story, it's a little basement.
I don't know that smoke's in agreement.
You don't like water flowing through your house.
Yeah. Do you guys have a counter offer, since you know what our asking price will?
So what about if we have Sandra write up an official formal counter to yours with some other terms? Basic terms, I guess, in a real estate transaction, and then you guys can
Counter it with what you.
look at those and, counter back if you need to, or accept it, or whatever. My only question is, would we have to wait for the next council meeting, or is that something, if we got it to you by the end of the week, you could pass it around and,
That would be a serial meeting, we can't do that.
oh, you can't?
No.
We didn't.
So it'd have to be.
We'd have to call a
Yeah.
special meeting, which we might be having a special meeting, right, Dan? Possibly. I mean, if not, it would have to be the next one. We'd either have to call a special meeting or.
No, we could do a special meeting in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
You all could go down to the senior center.
yeah, and have lunch.
I got a question, when you're talking about the dirt work, are you talking about taking it further down? Up.
The middle, right?
Okay.
Along the highway needs to go kinda down, right, and then push it back.
Drops back drastically, so.
So how are you gonna get, are you gonna go up to the property like the old hotel used to be?
Similar, yes.
Similar,
Yes. So it'll come up.
but not like this?
No.
Probably not so steep though.
There'll be a nice trail in the back.
What's that gonna do to the water runoff?
It's not really gonna change it any, if anything, it'll improve it for the Dusty Farmer Hotel and stuff, cause it'll direct some of that water more towards the highway and away from their building, cause right now everything kind of floods the back corner of their hotel. If you go back there.
I think it was down my alley.
Once it fills up enough, then yes, it must.
It's probably a hard no then. Well, that sounds good if you guys wanna get us a
Get you a written
offer for,
okay.
yep, and then we can, if we happen.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you want Sandra, when they get it ready, have Sandra submit it to me so I can take a look and make sure that there's nothing that runs afoul of anything before the council reviews it, so that way the council can be apprised. Would you have Sandra bring it to my office when it's completed?
That way she'll have all the legal address and everything, and then, everything in the terms, so that's fine.
I asked one thing about them, what their offer, when the prior hotel or motel was torn down, was it done very well? So there's not gonna be any huge surprises when they come to start to put foundations and sewer lines in?
It was Chahoy Excavating,
Oh,
yeah.
was it?
So,
Yeah.
okay, so it should have been, okay.
Yeah.
That was one concern I had for them, is we start digging up stuff, it could be problems.
It should be pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Should be clear.
Yeah.
If they did it, it's, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's fine.
Yep.
I don't know where they kept the water, I don't know.
There's some measurements that I
Is
was
there?
given, I don't know for sure what they mean.
Well, the water comes from the front, I don't know, the cap.
The sewer looks like it's about the middle.
No, something I can tell you is, you'd have to decide how you're gonna do all your utility stuff. I mean, if you're talking 3, 4, 5 water taps, 6 water taps, you guys wanna, they wanna pay, I mean, that's, Does the city do that then? We do the tap, but we charge them before the tap.
Okay.
And then we also upgraded electric up there.
And if we have to upgrade the electric, that's why I'm asking,
We don't
I'm
know.
bringing it up now.
Pay the,
Yeah.
we pay for 120 volts though.
What's
So they
that?
already have service, so they would have to
Yeah.
be upgrading, which normally the,
Dan thinks it's gonna take more than what's up there.
I gotta go look and see what's up, I don't remember what's up there exactly.
Oh gosh, if it ran a hotel, but.
Did it?
Well. Ran a zoo, I hear, I don't know.
Did it power the heat lamps?
It was probably
That's all the
overloaded.
record, right?
and it didn't run it. It's all electric for the.
that sounds good if you wanna get something to Lauren and then.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, like Dan's talking about, we need to discuss a little bit about some of the options that we're gonna bring to this too. As far as what the bottom line's gonna be for the city and what it's gonna cost to us, or the city.
I don't know if you guys are putting separate meters in for each place, water-wise, or.
We haven't
use one
discussed
meter?
that part
Well,
yet.
see where they're gonna be short-term, they won't, the tenants won't put utilities in their name. So, I would think we could get by with. Cause we could go to the old meter, it's there. It's just
But
one
it's
meter.
Depends on long term.
That's it.
Short term, yes, one would probably be sufficient, but long term, if you ever wanted to rent them separately or cut utilities, then you'd want it separated.
Yeah, and that'd be good to figure out with that.
We do
Separated
have-
by duplex or separated by individual
Probably by unit.
unit?
Yeah, individual, cause if you do end up doing a long-term lease, they're gonna put the utilities in their names.
We do have some, apartments in town that have one water meter.
Okay.
So typically what happens is the owner of the apartment building will pay for the water expense.
Uh-huh.
And then we can separate, and then if you have separate electric meters, then we can charge
Separate
the
those out.
tenants, they could put the electric, the sewer, and the trash in their name. So that is one option on the water. So, because then you would just have one water meter.
Right, probably wanna do that just for watering the grass and stuff, cause that would be more our responsibility.
So that's an option on the
Yeah.
water part of it.
Okay. And Scott will make us a nice road for trash.
We'll pack it out with the fire truck.
Sounds good, anything else, guys?
No, sounds
All
great,
right.
we'll get that to you, Lauren, and then
thanks to all of you for diving into this. You're definitely right, we do need help.
It'll be great. It's big. And I think it'll be really nice to offer that to people coming and get the young professionals and give them some housing.
Alrighty, well, thank you.
Thanks.
Guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
One other thing real quick says in here, about a year and a half ago, I asked about painting the information center on the highway. Is it still, okay to do that? I've got some interns this summer that have volunteered to do it, so. Jason, we're gonna get the bathrooms. It'll be just the outside, not the inside, right?
Nope, that's fine. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks.
You too. Dennis, are you ready? Okay, does he want to call on here or do?
Just do it on your phone?
Oh, we have Michael Baxter calling in as well, so one's going to call in myself and is he calling in or is he calling in himself?
Is this an executive session type discussion?
Yes, it will be. So you'll be that Michael call.
Okay.
Know that this number is the, is this the 314-312-3142?
Oh,
Do you know what number it is?
no. Oh,
It says
this one, yeah,
3142.
it's business 3142, yes.
Couldn't you run a session now?
I guess we go.
I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it seems like you might want to do that and then get them on the phone. I don't know.
Go ahead. They're in motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes for, attorney-client privileged, possible litigation.
Okay.
That's a first, that's a motion.
Oh, I thought you were doing it. Sorry.
I was asking for the motion.
Oh, yeah.
Move by Gibbs, second.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
Hale, Jeff. We're out of executive session, no decisions were made. Tammy's Country Catering, doing business as Whiskey Wagon.
So it's pretty much the same as the last time they did it. A little bit different on the type of stuff that they're doing. It's a whiskey wagon. They're gonna serve wild drinks. Well, you should,
Yeah, they'll have, it's for the concert in the park, guys, and, they'll have wine, they'll have, some mixed drinks, they'll have some beer. I'm not sure if they'll have, they may even, I think they'll even have pop, and stuff like that too. We just decided to try something a little different this year. These guys they travel all over the state, this is his primary business. Very good at what he does, very controlled. We're pretty excited about trying this option. And we weren't able to get anybody local to step up this year and express any kind of interest in it, so that's the reason we went this route. I don't remember who told us any business to, but,
Are they gonna have updated insurance?
yeah.
do you want to speak or do you want me to?
It doesn't matter.
We noticed that the insurance does expire before the concert in the park, so when you make your motions, separate motions, one for the alcohol permit and then one for the resolution, you'll probably want to make it contingent upon getting updated insurance prior to. I don't anticipate that to be any issue, but we need it to be in the motion so that it's clear. We need to have an updated insurance
And
certificate.
that's already in place, it's just a timing issue.
Yeah.
Next, the motion for, Gail seconds to approve the application, correct? And your motion for the resolution, moved by
Sorry.
Justin, second by Gail. Sorry, I'm trying to talk slow to give you enough time.
Was there a vote on the?
No,
No,
hold on.
she's getting caught up on writing before you ask
Okay,
for
so we
votes.
have Bud and Kale on the temporary
On
alcohol
the
permit,
application, and then Justin and Gail on the resolution.
and that we
So,
need a vote.
Bud? Gail? Larry?
Yes.
Dara? Yes. Justin? Yes, it's on everyone.
Thank you.
Do you want me to sign this one, or do you have a?
Yes, there weren't any other changes to it? Yes, you can sign that one. Do you need a pen?
I got one, I just have to find it. Let's see, tree spraying contractor license.
So we've not had tree spraying, although it is part of our code that anybody that does pesticide applications or anything like that should have a license, and it's in the same section of code as the tree contractors, the tree trimming contractors. So we use the same form, and he has all the insurance that he needed. You'll see copies of it there. And so we just need a motion to approve that.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Justin, second by Gail, all in favor? Okay. Firework license.
We have two.
Second.
Moved by Gail, second by Larry, all
We have a
in
question over here.
favor with, yes.
Just to bring it up so that the council's aware, Senate Bill 199 did pass. The governor signed it into law earlier this year. It is extending the sale of the fireworks season for temporary vendors from the 20th of June through the 7th of July. Our ordinance will still govern. It's just permitting them to do that, even though our ordinance is shorter. There's nothing that could be done this year about it, but I'm bringing it to the council's attention now in the event you want to do something about it next year. If you want to leave the ordinance the way it is, you do not have to expand it to mirror the state, but that option is available.
What are those dates again?
July 20th through, or no, excuse me, June 20th through July 7th. And it-
18 days instead of 9 days, they double the amount of time you can sell fireworks.
All right.
Did you
Double
get
the
them?
fun.
Double the fun, that's right.
Maybe not for those guys.
Myla, did you get everything?
Yeah.
Motions and approvals on that?
Biggest party ever.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Building permits.
One built permit from the senior center.
Okay. Moved by Larry. What I hear is
Not before I knew about it. Second.
second by Kale,
Denied.
already voted.
Yeah.
All in favor? Larry, Kale, did you?
Okay, yes.
Property cleanup, old business.
What's going on with the storage sheds? With the storage containers? We either need to change the ordinance or we need to enforce it. And so I need to know if we're gonna change the ordinance, I need to know what those terms are because we need to change the ordinance.
And my concern is we have the trailer over here that would also be permitted, that got a letter.
Yeah, but that's different from the others.
Yeah.
It has wheels on it, an axle.
Not if you look at the definitions in our ordinance, they are considered the same. And I would say if you took the wheels off of it, it would be no different.
It's anything that's been used for, that is used for shipping.
Rail car,
Yeah.
shipping container, trailer, yeah, that's what the ordinance says, so. I just think we're opening a can of worms
I
if we.
still think the trick there is, making it look good.
And the problem is you'll have the ones that are gonna make it look good and you're gonna have the ones that don't, and then you're gonna fight them and you're gonna be writing letters and you're gonna, it's creating more work than to just not allow them.
Same problem as the houses, so, same.
Any other?
One that was brought up last meeting was Ross Manufacturing. They've done a tremendous amount to clean that lot up and stuff. I don't, and maybe I'm on the other side, but I don't have a problem with it because they're a business.
So is this one. So you can't pick and choose.
I get that, I'm just
Can't buy
just
looks
talking
now.
about.
Or if you have
businesses that are in residential
That's not a business, that's just a trailer sitting there.
It's in commercial, so.
Again, it's still a maintenance of it, whether it's upkept or not, and I know it's more work, but it's,
What happens on a zoning variance if somebody gets,
It's got axles on it.
if somebody gets a zoning variance for commercial instead of residential? Are you gonna allow it in commercial there?
Commercial instead of residential, I'm not following you.
But it's your neighbor that has a business next to you.
Yeah.
And
I believe
Or-
I believe Killian Trevor Hill just got a variance for her dance studio or gymnastic studio or whatever that is by their house. That is now commercial instead of residential. Can they put a storage container on it?
What about a daycare or a
Right.
beauty salon or something that's within a residential? If they get it zoned commercial, then they would follow the same rules. I just think you're
Not
opening.
if you define it well.
But who determines that it gets zoned commercial?
That's the application, that they apply for a variance, and they get their neighbors' signatures, that whole process.
And that transfers it to commercial?
For the
business.
current owner, yes, and the business. Doesn't go with the property or the house.
So basically you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then if they
Well,
wanna
let's
put it,
prove it.
That's where I'm headed.
but then if they wanna put in a shipping container, how do you deny them, cause they're zoned commercial and no different than.
I see what she's saying.
Yeah,
Then you define it by whether or not it's on Washington Street or already an existing commercial area, like by the highway. Dollar General has one now.
Yeah.
yeah, where'd that come from? That just showed up.
They do it for deliveries, that way they can deliver,
it's a
not have
remodel.
everything sitting
It's a
outside.
I was gonna say, it's a remodel, it's temporary.
I think they're
Yeah.
Which the same with that one and same with this one, they were temporary during construction and they just have never disappeared, cause I talked with Scott Schultz yesterday and he said they gave permission to Ross's when they added on to that building and then it never, it was only a temporary, while they did construction.
They also got a lot busier unexpectedly,
It's been
I
since,
guess.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's a slippery slope in a can that, once you open it, I don't know that we want that headache.
And then where's the other one? The Village? Or
Yeah.
what do you call it?
It's in.
I haven't seen that one. Good save.
My thing is, you want one, it's gonna be residential or commercial. I mean, I don't like picking and choosing.
Yeah,
if there's gonna be neighbors and anything like.
I was gonna say, then you get into residential, and you
I
really
know.
don't have people not happy with them.
Can you, talking about variances, can you just give them a variance for that, or is there, on per basis,
Yeah, per case.
per basis?
I don't think that's a,
How you
think-
draw the line?
yeah, then you're picking,
I'm just curious how
then
you
you guys
draw
are
the
picking
line.
and choosing who
I
gets
don't
to,
know,
and then
I'm
that just,
that's,
you
that
just
was
need
a
to
question
either,
there.
yeah. I think they need to,
Well,
all or none.
I understand the issue about residential
I see the
and
same.
not having them in residential. What concerns me is, like if it's a commercial business and there's one there and it's not totally out of sight, I would think that we could make the decision, like if somebody wants to put one in a residential area, we can flat say no. I mean, doesn't that come down to us?
Yeah.
But
but
we're
what do you do
giving
on
building
Jackson Street
permits.
that's zoned commercial and residential, and it's all residential houses?
It's-
zoned
It's
commercial.
still our decision.
It's not if you put that it's allowed in commercial areas.
It's not.
Then anyone who has a variance for a commercial area or it's zoned dual commercial and residential, they can put one in there.
Wouldn't that variance have to come through us?
No, not if they come to you. So, for example, Killy Hilt came to you for her gymnastics building. You said, yes, we will give you the variance that will be zoned commercial. She can now put a storage container on it if you allow it for commercial properties. The things that are down on Jackson that are zoned commercial/residential, they can be zoned commercial. They can do it without your approval. They don't have to get approval for a storage container. They have to get approval for the zoning variance. And once they get that, whether they have a storage container at that point or not, once they're commercial, they can put a storage container on it.
Unless we change the code. Well, it's already says we can't.
It says you can't.
It says we already
So we
can't.
either need to enforce it, and everybody's either gotta, I don't know, box them in or get rid of them, or you need to give me the terms of the ordinance so we can change it.
Is there other towns that have had them boxed in, so they look, anybody know? Did we,
I think it was some of the
What?
last stuff we got, that somebody may have put a siding on and roofs on.
Bird City requires them to be painted, and you have to pay an application fee to the city, and you have to have it painted in a scheme of colors, and you have to reapply for your permit every
but
2
then
years.
there's another, who's gonna remember in 2 years, and that's when we'll work on the city to
Right.
remember that you have to send them letters to reapply,
Right.
I mean, I just,
How's Goodland handling it with all theirs? Anybody know?
Goodland's got them right on Main Street, short pods. Down towards, Crazy R and the meat. I can't think of these, yeah, yeah.
But still, I mean, the appearance of Wheeler, there's one house Wheeler, 2 houses back, one house Wheeler. I mean, they get their own problems. As much as I'd like to have one because it's cheaper, long run, I just think foundation, structure would be better. I don't like trailer houses either. So. If you could cite it,
decided to put a roof on it, so it looks like a
Mm-hmm.
shed.
foundation, concrete, works, but then how much money you're gonna just to do that. I mean, some people are pretty responsible to do some of these things, but other people,
Yeah.
we can't get the shit we got now.
We can't even get the
Even
first
those-
guard.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just
Put
wonder.
that paint tax on the next year. Roll it over, my money.
You did such a good job, just could I schedule you, you know,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
That's happening.
I know.
So,
I just think once you
Yeah.
get one, you're just taking on a can.
So is there any way around, going back to this variance too, any way we could address that with the variance right off the bat?
You need to make it accessible to all persons who ask for it, including that one out there.
If you're gonna do it, you have to be fair. So either,
I mean, the zoning variance has a very specific requirement set forth. You have to have 80% of the surrounding properties consent to the variance, and you have to have what the proposed is and what it's gonna be used for, and it's only so long as, my understanding is it's only so long as that person and that business, so even if they sell the business, the other person still has to reapply for the variance, or if they sell the property, the other person would still have to reapply for the variance.
correct, 'cause we had that with the daycare that sold
Mhm.
and.
Yeah.
But like in Kelly's incidents, wasn't the variance for her to put the building out? That's what she got approval on?
She got approved to zone it as commercial. You can't run a business in a residential neighborhood.
Right.
So by her, she needed to get a zoning variance, and that lot is now zoned commercial. I'm just, if you're gonna do a variance, you have to, it has to be uniform. You can't say, well, we don't think you're gonna maintain it nicely, so you can't have one. We think you are, so you can't. That's not, if you're having a procedure, anyone who wants one gets to follow that procedure.
I think the procedure is to make sure that your neighbors are not having a problem with it. So, I'm kind of, the neighbors ain't having a problem with it, huh? I don't see why we would have a problem with it. That's,
So, unanimous neighbor consent, 80% neighbor consent? I mean, what,
well, I go with 100%, but then that's, again, my opinion on that.
In commercial and residential, like anywhere, if
Well,
not,
no, in a commercial lot. On a commercial, I'm still with the commercial lot, I believe it should be allowed on a commercial lot. I was that way to start with.
but when you have commercial mixed in with residential.
But on the other hand, if somebody, right now, if somebody wants to, has a commercial lot and wants it on there, then they get variance to put it on there, which they have to have all the neighbors to do it.
We have several commercial lots down Main Street, you know, I mean, just next to the bank. We could put two in there, you know, I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, how will it start?
We could just open a can.
Yeah.
I don't think there's 100% either direction, but there's just, that's,
And we're talking two, I mean, changing the ordinance for two people? Essentially one, and one can only post concern.
Two of them are quite large businesses in this town.
I'm not even going at that, I'm just going with what I think.
But they
needs
were
to be.
given the option temporary, to begin with,
Yeah.
as a, you know,
While you're constructing, in construction mode,
as a
it's
vehicle.
allowed, and they've never came back and said, hey, we wanna keep it, they've just extended the,
Did you ever talk to the one about the kennel?
I did talk to Brett.
And
And then
what was-
after,
what was his take?
he said to come to a meeting, and then after our last meeting, I thought before I go talk to, but he didn't seem to think that there was an issue, he just said come to a meeting.
An issue as far as moving it or leaving it?
As far as, I mean, he didn't act like it was
Which one?
up to the county.
Village?
Oh.
I mean, I didn't get any pushback from him, he says, he just said come to a meeting. And then after our last meeting, I thought, I'm gonna wait until we come up with what we're doing before I go. Trav got a letter and Ross, and I've talked to Brett, so.
Travis did come in today and said he couldn't get it gone in the 20 days that he was given in the letter, cause he just picked up the letter, but he was willing to get rid of this one over here, so that's what he said. But he couldn't do it in 20 days, so,
Is he renting this lot over here?
currently, yes, a rent to own thing.
See what happens next door. It sounds like we're split.
Let's take a vote.
Yep.
We need a motion.
And if you did enclose them, there have to be guidelines, you know.
If you enclose them and put sides and a roof on them, it'd be no different than a
Than a shed.
shed.
As long as they're on the lookout.
Either one, if they're painted nice, doesn't matter to me.
I mean, reselling and long
Yeah,
term,
if you-
what I'm doing.
And
If
to
you
me, if
painted
it's at
it,
the
I'm
back
fine.
of a lot, and it's really not that visible,
But we're talking one person too.
yeah, exactly, I think we grandfather them in, whatever we do. If we can't come up with something, we just let them have it.
I don't know
That's
that
it.
your grandfather, he would enforce the ordinance.
He has to
or
approve
change
it for one person, one business.
You can't approve it for one business, and they
Or
wouldn't be
do
grandfathered.
a-
They're
Do an easement, or what do you call it, variance?
they're consistently, you can't make a variance for one person. You have to make a variance procedure and then let everybody have the opportunity to follow it. You can't do it for one person. If the ordinance had said, yes, you can have shipping containers, and then they put one there, and then they said no, and then the ordinance changed to no, you can't, that would be considered grandfathered in. They were given a temporary license to use one, they
Okay, wrong
fulfilled
term.
they fulfilled the purpose of having it, so they are now in violation of the ordinance. So we either need to change the ordinance, or the letters have been sent and I have to proceed with prosecution. So there has to be a decision tonight, because I am going, it is my duty pursuant to my oath that I took, that I have got to proceed forward with prosecution. If they,
And it's, and not saying that we can't give them 6 months to, we can give them
Right.
extended amount of time where they've had these for so long, that they have the time to
Get stuff out of
right,
enclose
but
them
that has to
or
be a
whatever.
decision of the council. I mean, as it stands now, there was a notice sent out, they were given a time frame. It stated, if you do not comply within this time frame, this is the next step. That's
Did you have the paperwork from the first time
a due process requirement.
from the first time that they were,
that they brought it in?
I don't know that there was ever a building permit or anything.
Oh,
When it was
and
back
I
in
wasn't here when either,
2009.
well, for this one I was here, yes. I mean, I could find this one probably pretty easily. But I think it was more of a verbal agreement
But there
when
would
he
have been
moved in
something in
there.
the minutes or.
Yes, for
And I
this
think it
one
was
next
just
door.
For a year or something during
Mhm.
construction wasn't, I mean, all of them have been just supposed to.
But I
be
don't know
for-
about the others.
Is he actually doing any construction over there?
I mean, he had intended
He tore
to,
everything up,
I get that.
but no.
destroyed everything, I don't know about construction.
Bottom line for me is I don't think it's right to penalize Ross's at all.
I'm sorry?
I don't think it's right to penalize Ross's at all.
I don't think
Well,
we
they're
penalize them.
penalizing them, they're
Well-
breaking the ordinance, and then we can give them ample time to, and we can give them the option to enclose it.
I get
to
that,
where-
but it's not that simple.
I can't say as we're penalizing them because they
It's
have
a
broken
temporary,
the rule.
Yeah.
yeah.
But on the other hand, I've never seen a reason that we should have that rule. So I'm good with redoing the
And you're good with them
ordinance.
being in residential neighborhoods that are zoned commercial. You're willing to fight that fight when people are upset.
I guess that'll just have to come down the road.
Maybe with some strict guidelines. Sure,
What strict guidelines? I mean,
appearance
So you couldn't do,
in the commercial
like
one.
if somebody wants to apply for commercial, you couldn't put a stipulation in there that says no storage containers?
no. You can for all of them. I mean, we already have it, no storage containers.
In
If it-
residential. I'm talking residential.
But if they get a zoning variance and it now becomes commercial, and you allow them in commercial, then yes, you have to allow them.
Well, you wouldn't have to give them a variance for commercial.
Then they couldn't run their business in a residential neighborhood. So, what fight do you wanna pick?
So if you have that online in your house, is that, will that be considered commercial along the line, future, in the future?
An online business?
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done that.
It wouldn't be, I don't believe that it would be commercial in the sense of, I mean, I guess it would depend on what the business is. Are you having, are you producing jewelry and having it shipped everywhere and having UPS and FedEx and everything come, or are you online taking foot pictures? I mean, I don't know what you're doing. It's gonna depend. I don't think you need a variance for taking pictures of your feet.
I got models?
Sorry.
I think mostly when we've had them do variances, it's more about the traffic that's gonna be happening in
A hair salon, a
residential.
daycare, that you're gonna have a lot of people.
Right, coming and going, parking, so.
But
But if I could get a storage container, foot pictures.
Big business. I got a storage container full of printouts of foot pictures.
Hey, don't knock it.
Somebody does,
That's
someone.
right.
A man in Florida.
Florida man, always got a word man.
Sorry.
The ordinance stands as of right now that we do not allow them. That's where I feel we need to stay.
I'm sorry.
I said, right now, the ordinance stands that we do not allow them, and that's why I feel that we need to just leave it and not be changing the ordinance for one or two people.
So what are you gonna do about the little one behind the post office?
Yep, that's gotta go.
Or are we gonna go in and give them a longer period to get moved?
Absolutely, we can.
Just my opinion, if I may, I feel like there needs to be a motion one way or the other and a vote to figure out where we're going with this.
Well, if there's not a motion, then the ordinance, I mean, the
The
ordinance is
It just
standing.
stands if there's no motion.
Right, I mean, and if
And-
there, well, here's the
and
thing,
no
is that there
further
can't even be,
discussion.
there can't be a, in order to change the ordinance, there has to be a roll call vote for a written procedure, which is, if nothing happens here tonight, then another letter needs to go out stating,
Okay.
it was discussed at the it was discussed by the council, the ordinance is not going to be changed. At
Okay.
this time, you have whatever timeline the council wants to give you to get this off, and failure to do so will result in prosecution under the terms of the code.
Gotcha.
If they do want to change the ordinance, then they need to give me the terms of what that's gonna be. We need to get that down so that we can draft it
Yes. I get
and
it.
bring it to the next meeting and get it published. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
nobody makes a motion, then it's staying as is, and another letter needs to go out.
So where does having them dress up the building or paint it or something come into play in all of this?
As
If
far as
it was gonna
enclosing it?
stay,
Enclosing it, that was looking for,
enclosing it, painting it,
Enclosing
we talked about painting it at one time.
but that's not good
If it-
enough, apparently.
If it says no shipping containers, I'd say you'd have to enclose it.
Close it.
You have to have
Can't see
siding,
it. Siding.
look
and
like a
all.
fitting
Mhm.
building probably, I guess, probably foundation, siding,
Yeah.
just like a building.
And I believe, didn't we, were you here when Enrique came? You might not have been here. He had initially asked to put in a shipping container for a tornado shelter, and he was going to enclose it. And I thought the council was okay with that, and then he put up the concrete. And I guess we could go back and look, but I thought kind of that was he wanted it for the secure structure, and but he was going to enclose it. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Don't, I mean, I feel like we were gonna allow it as long as he enclosed it, so where it didn't look like a shipping, yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah, no problem with that, on concrete, the siding, the whole
and
type
roof,
of,
yeah.
and that kind of solves,
Then it's just technically inside of a building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Um,
You have the structure, you're just siding. What's it called?
So basically, you still gotta rewrite the code.
No, I don't think so, do we?
Well,
Right.
it's still a container, it's
You
just
still have
not
to
visible.
put the options in that,
It's just
so
not
it
visible,
doesn't
that's
look
all.
like it.
Containers in town, it's just not visible. Right?
I mean,
It's
So what
concealed.
would
You
be the
wouldn't have to
difference of
change
putting a
because-
fence up?
no,
there?
I mean, but I think we would, because otherwise then everyone can bring in a storage container. I mean, is that what you want? Anyone can bring in a storage container as long as they put sides and, I mean, I don't,
You're gonna have
I
to
don't
get
have
you're gonna have to get a building permit. So, you'd get a building permit, I'm gonna, if so-and-so has a garage and they wanna move a shipping container inside of it, how, we don't know. I mean, they're storing a trailer in there, you know, I mean, an RV, like what they're storing inside their building, I don't know that.
I look at it as it's a prefab house already. But
Yeah.
I want it on a foundation.
You just
And I
gotta
want
finish
siding
it.
on it.
But how would we enforce that if we sell a building permit for that? I mean, because it's just a building permit, would you not have to have
But we have to change the ordinance to say shipping containers are permitted only.
And like within
I think
amount-
we just leave them, shipping containers are not allowed, and if they wanna.
Well, it's still a shipping container. You have
But
to
if you're
come in.
building a building around it, it's.
I know, but it's
okay.
still a shipping container. I mean,
So what I was getting at is would we put a time frame on it, like if somebody came into City Hall and said, I'm gonna move in a shipping container, but I'm gonna put a roof and siding on it. Are we gonna, I mean, we have a
Yeah.
6-month thing, but then they have to reapply for the building permit, so that's what I was getting at is how, what
Right.
would we tell them in City Hall, like, well, you have 6 months to put a roof and siding on it,
Yeah.
And a foundation,
and then.
cause I mean, our
Is that-
building permit says that you have to have a foundation and, right? I'm pretty sure.
And does
I
that
don't know,
make
I
it
could look.
taxable property?
Think
I
so?
don't- So I just wanna make sure,
I don't think that code says anything about foundation.
I just wanna make
Are
sure
they
that if.
taxable now? I mean, a shipping container? No?
Just
We
storage.
got a lot of sheds that are sitting on, that aren't on foundation. I got 2 of them. And they're with building permits here in both, so.
I thought I saw something tonight when I was looking through there about foundation. Maybe what that was. I don't know, just like I remember seeing something about foundation. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, if someone hears this tonight and then they're like, well, I'm gonna cite it and stuff, I just wanna make sure that what we would say is, you have 6 months to complete those projects.
Yeah.
That's, would be about the only teeth we would have on that, cause it would be a building permit.
I mean, it should be.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I'll make a motion to change the code to include siding and
No galvanized siding.
no galvanized, it's already in there. And, just reword it to where it's gotta have siding and make it look like it's enclosed at least. That's basically our only option here, it seems like, I don't know.
There's nothing to say, when you put up 4 walls and then tomorrow night just back one right into it, just like you back a semi in it. Be a whole lot of difference.
There's, since we've been picking on Kelly and her building, there's no saying that she couldn't have just put a shipping container in there, you know. I mean, who knows, there could be people in town that have them inside
Well, we
buildings
can
that
put
we don't know
siding
about.
directly on it and put a
Roof on it and.
It looks like a little shed, no different than a
That's
shed in
kinda
Dan's
what I was-
backyard.
That's what I was thinking, their bridge, you want to put siding on it and put a roof
Yeah,
on it.
and they're extremely
Wouldn't
sturdy.
hardly do
But then is it a building?
It's a shed,
It's
storage shed, like the post office, it's a
It's
shed.
just a shed with a storage unit that
It's a
happens to
shed
be
made
inside
out
of it.
red iron. Red
So-
iron.
It's a concealed shed.
I said, then it's just a building,
It's a building. so
and they
it's
just
a
happen to
building.
stick a storage container
Yeah.
inside of it,
It's
so
just a
then,
building. They're building a building around the storage container. What they store
I'm
inside of it.
confused.
I got a metal building up there made out of red iron.
He might have a storage, he might have a shipping container in there.
Well, I'm just trying to think about how to make it presentable, so there's no discussion later in life.
It's a building, you got a shipping container inside a building, so.
So we're not allowing shipping
We're not allowing
containers.
shipping containers.
You may have a shipping container
Unless-
inside a building, but you may not have a shipping container.
Exposed.
Exposed.
And it's.
Okay, so
natural
then it's
state.
still,
It's,
Well,
the
it's still a
ordinance is still
container.
fine.
so the ordinance is not
They have to
changing.
build a building around the shipping container.
Well, why
They
couldn't
don't
you
keep
just put a fence up around it? Where you couldn't see
You
it?
don't have siding on it,
Huh?
doesn't have siding on it.
But you
Wanna
can't
make
put a
the
fence
fence
over
siding.
6 foot
it.
tall
Can't be over 6 foot.
unless you get special permission from the council, so there's gonna be a lot of special
See,
permission.
that's what I'm trying to prevent the can from.
I mean, like I said, we're banging the note to 2 people that it's pretty much said they couldn't have it, it's temporary, but yet we're the building.
I mean, it sounds like maybe we're all in consensus that they can have it as long as they
Cover it.
put a building over it. Is that,
Put siding on it, put a roof on it, you would, what would be the difference of that building versus?
You'd never know.
What about a foundation?
Yeah. Just no different than a shed.
everybody okay with that?
I don't know.
I don't know, say so. I like the foundation, so.
But our ordinance doesn't say anything about foundations on buildings now.
So the post office stuff, just get rid of theirs.
It's not foundation, is it? Sitting on a foundation?
It's sitting on the ground.
It's not on concrete or asphalt?
Well, it's probably on concrete, but
There we
it's
go.
not a
Foundation.
designated anchored foundation.
Then put some pins on it and call it anchor.
Put some tape on it.
No, just anchor it in so it don't blow over. You ever
It'll
seen
stay
them blow
there,
over?
it'll stay there
They're
longer,
heavy.
a lot longer than a lot of
Blow
the
over.
garages around here will stay.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
Okay.
Are we good?
Either way, you still gotta make some type of rules for covering it, right? Siding, roof,
It would be,
just the
it
same
would go under a building permit.
typical
I mean, it would
building
go under a building.
codes.
Yep. So I don't know that there's,
I guess if you got wheels.
Well, this one wouldn't apply, cause it's on wheels,
There you go.
so it can't have
Maybe they
wheels.
Well, let's just put wheels
It's
on
gotta
it.
be on the ground or on foundation.
This is considered a semi-trailer.
manufactured Right,
it's still a
It's
trailer.
over the road.
Yeah, that's right.
but it's still considered
So-
shipping per our ordinance.
So are you picky about the siding?
This one's not yellow,
Just
man.
like
Okay.
any other,
None
any
of
other
those.
building.
And I
I mean
kinda,
corrugated tin,
Well, we don't allow that anyway now,
I kinda
well,
hate getting
no,
after.
you don't allow galvanized,
galvanized, right?
but painted like pro panel.
Well, pro panel's
Well,
approved for any
pro
building,
panel.
right?
Building something.
So, it already looks like pro panel, actually,
That's all I'm just asking
yeah.
before I start getting asked questions.
Yeah.
So we're not, I just want to clarify here. We're not allowing storage containers.
Correct.
You are allowing buildings, and what someone puts in a building
Is there,
is their prerogative.
yes. Yes. Yes?
Technically, you're right.
Yes. Yes.
But you're still putting siding on it.
You're
On
building
the
a building
container.
around it, yes.
Well, you're
A
not
lot-
just
a lot-
framing a wall
yeah.
around it, you're
A
putting
lot
siding
of-
on the wall.
A lot of this is,
Cause they'll attach it to.
we're blaming,
Right.
we're having a problem with next door, and that, and it keeps getting brought up, well, we're gonna have another one of them. We're gonna have that with houses or anything else, but,
I think we already got that
and I
one.
really hate to punish anybody else that's trying to make it look nice. So, and that's kind of what we're
But the thing
punishing
is,
the
you
other
can't,
people.
you can't pick and choose
I know,
the
I
ones
know.
that look nice and the ones that
I
don't.
know, but it's terrible for one to take down all the rest, but that, and it happens, but I don't, you know, I don't know how to fix that, but.
Well,
So then will Ross's and, the village need to come in and get a building permit?
And
They
post
wanna
office,
influence that.
Dollar General,
Dollar General, I think.
If it's for, if
Mm.
it's, I mean, that's the
Or
other
get a
thing.
temporary permit.
Yeah, they probably should get permission
Written,
from the
temporary
city.
permits.
And good luck getting a hold of anybody, I mean, corporate at Dollar, they're in the middle of a remodel. And I'm not, definitely not condemning what they did.
Cause they've had one out there before, right? And it's
Just when they did
disappeared.
that remodel,
Mhm.
so.
When they had the freezer issue, I think they had one out there for.
Yeah, they've had one before show up and it disappears relatively.
I mean, cause it's right where the truck is gonna
Dollar
park
General?
unload, so I'm sure it's not gonna.
Yeah, they had two of them out there when they,
So I just
or
wanna
three of
be
them
clear of what
when they were doing
is
the
the
work on
next
it.
step for the two that got letters to say you can't have them, to now
Can't have them
you can't have them, but if you come in and get a building permit
and put a building around it.
and put a building around them, you can have them, so is that gonna be a verbal conversation with them, or is that a letter that's going from city
I kind
hall?
of feel
or-
that's weird though.
It's not a building around it, it's
Cause you're putting
siding.
siding
You're
on
covering
the
it.
bill, on the container.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you're
you're
putting
building-
a building
building-
up, you put your building up and you slide it in the building.
That's what I think, leave the code as is, if they put a building around it, basically.
Isn't
Then you have
that,
to do a
So you're
frame
gonna,
building.
you're
So
gonna
you want
do
a frame?
stick frame all the way
Isn't
around
that
the
up against the
storage
building?
container?
Well,
No.
either way, as long as it looks like a building, you got your siding
So are
on
we
it,
saying they
trim
can
on it.
put pro panel on the building,
Yeah.
you know, met skirt
I
on,
think,
or-
yeah, I think that needs to be defined.
or
How
are
they
they
cover
putting
it up
a
needs to be defined.
structure around the building?
I guarantee you someone's gonna come into City Hall and they're gonna be like, I need a building permit, so I'm moving in a storage container, and then I'm gonna put a building
But I
around
think-
it. But that could, to them, could mean screwing siding on the side of it, and
I think they need to put a building.
What is constituting the frame of a building? That's, you know,
Yeah, I'm for siding it,
yeah, put siding on it, make it look
Yeah.
like a building, and
yeah.
then it'll blend into the rest of the building, and you're good.
here we have
I'm just saying, I
carports
don't
that-
cut corners because you end up with stuff like you showed the other day with
Yeah.
a half a roof on top or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, I don't think, that's what I'm, if we put a building around it and it's inside,
So
then
even
you
if
don't
we
have
have
that
to
problem.
rewrite the ordinance, who cares other than Lauren? Sorry.
I don't care what you do, but you need to make a decision. I don't have a horse in this race.
Didn't they ask that if they could put a building around it?
9 of them. All different.
I know. There's 5 of you and you've made 9 decisions.
I'm for siding it.
Yeah. No, that were for
Siding.
siding, just putting siding on it.
I'm not for
That was
building a
one
building over a
thing.
building,
No.
no.
It's already a building.
Yeah.
Just put
So are
siding
you
on
gonna
it,
let them
propane
anywhere?
on.
Or are
Yes.
you just gonna allow the ones, the two?
No, I want
No, I don't think.
residential and commercial.
So then it's, we allow shipping containers with,
This
With
stuff, don't-
Siding
these
on it.
exceptions, that's why I'm thinking, we still need to rewrite it and define what we allow.
that's,
There's gonna,
then it's two
They're-
different things that we're
They're not
talking about
allowed
here.
in their natural form.
You're
It
gonna
has
put
to be covered.
ProPanel over
It must be
a
covered.
metal storage container.
Yeah,
Yep,
On a roof
propane or
on it.
siding.
makes sense to me.
Why, and a roof,
It would last longer.
and a roof. Why would you need a roof?
if you're making it look like a building to where it doesn't look like a shipping container.
What if you're in Arizona, all the roofs are flat,
Flat.
Put siding on top of the damn thing.
Santa Fe style?
I don't know if they get.
I just,
Are the places with the
just
flat
don't-
roofs, do they get a lot of snow?
No, a lot of rain though.
Yeah, but rain doesn't just sit there and accumulate.
Snow melts.
So you're not gonna crash a storage container.
No, it's steel roof, it's fine.
Till it rusts through.
They do have potential.
Those things are thick, that takes a long.
Yeah.
So storage containers
I-
are allowed,
I still-
provided, however.
We'll make a motion, we rewrite the code and we figure it out in the next 2 weeks.
How did that go last time when you were gonna figure it out over the last 2 weeks?
Here we are, here we are.
Right.
That was 2 weeks.
Nobody was here.
He can put stuff on his, on wheels.
Well, no.
No,
I mean, again,
no, that's why
yeah,
we
we
rewrite
could.
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'd have some rules,
Okay,
but they
So
have
now
to be
you're-
covered.
on the ground.
And stay in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just be easier to enforce the code we have than to come up with all these over two?
But I mean, you got the structure for a building, it's there, I just wanna cite it,
No roof?
So it doesn't look like a,
right?
So roof?
it doesn't look like a,
Before the
I guess so,
lighting
right?
is the
Yeah,
roof.
Well,
probably.
it doesn't have to be, we're not gonna sit here and tell people it has to have like a 6 and 12 pitch roof on it,
Now,
but pro-panel roof, like, just like a steel building.
yeah, just like if
Make
you
it
made a
match-
log cabin,
Make it match
Yeah,
your
why don't I
existing
sign up there?
commercial building that
you
you
took
already
the
have.
pro panel up and I got myself a cabin, or a house,
Yeah.
or apartment.
I'm all for just making them at least get siding on it, make it look like the rest of the buildings in
Right.
their neighborhood, so it just matches. And it's not looking like a shipping
Like a shipping
container. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I just think that might help people that have problems making things nice.
Cause I don't see any difference in that in my steel building up there. Like I said, I got red iron holding up my steel building. Most of the shipping containers are red iron. So it's your inside structure holding up your building. Put siding on it, make it look like a building and you're
That
good.
way, you're not worried about paint color, color of the inside. You don't have to worry about painting it every 2 years. kind of problem.
They'd be
Yeah.
10 times better built than most of the garages in town. So if you're looking for structural integrity, you're gonna be a lot better off. And then this would give them a way of a cheaper built building. They can get a shipping container, put their siding on it, make it look nice, they're off and gone.
I think it's kind of, I don't know.
Okay, commercial and residential, Justin, yes or no?
Yes, no. Yes.
Commercial and residential or just commercial?
Commercial.
Commercial.
So not residential.
Why?
So if it's gonna look like a shed,
No,
why not residential?
I knew you
Yeah,
were
you're
coming
right.
up with
Cause you can buy a shed now
I could run
and throw it in my
prefab,
backyard and it'll look
whatever.
like absolute garbage.
Yes, exactly.
You could. But if it looks just like your house,
I mean, it's
Cause
not-
you're gonna get ones that don't look just
I
like your
wouldn't even
house.
mind
They're
that.
gonna
I wouldn't
be
mind
piecemeal
that.
But
together
that's not
and
the
they're
rules.
gonna look like
That's-
crap.
that's not the
It's gonna be
rules.
better than a prefab plastic house.
I mean, they,
You've
You
got
define the
garages
rules.
next to houses that don't look anything like them and they're falling down.
right,
Which is an issue
So
that
if we
we
make
eventually have
proper
to
rules
address.
for it, it can work.
Yeah.
And not everybody can afford a $50,000 garage.
Exactly. Like I said, probably lasts as long as.
But maybe 10,000 to make a nice shed.
I say commercial right now, that's what we're dealing with.
I know.
Deal with the residential.
I disagree because it's like I said,
We'll be
why
done.
go over there?
Yeah, let him kick the can down the road.
I'm actually not too far bad with commercial residential.
Exactly.
If you're gonna make it look like a building.
Why should the get,
Yes.
Again,
And
it's,
if we
Would you
define
agree
everything
with that?
properly, it
You put
would
one
be
in
fine.
your yard?
It could be.
I wouldn't know where to put one. And I think that's a lot of the issue too is,
You're gonna start getting people complaining if you start providing them residential.
yeah, I mean,
If they look like a container, yeah, but if they look like a
They're
nice
gonna look like
shed,
a container with siding on them.
how would you know? Going down the road if
It's
it's
a
all
40 by
sided?
8. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to tell. Like, I don't have to measure them to know they're 40 by
it's
8.
that big,
Unless you get a small one, then they're 20 by 8.
or even smaller.
Like the post office one.
Cause
But we could have 2 weeks that we could all figure out, we could rewrite it, figure out what we're gonna allow in commercial and residential. We could say residential cannot be larger than 20.
some people will actually buy a Connex, we call it Conex, storage container. Make it look whatever siding you want, log cabin,
Yeah,
panel, and it looks really nice.
yeah.
What's the difference if I put a grain cart and it might turn into an apartment? What's the difference in that?
What
What
about
is
the
the
ones
difference
that aren't going to
between-
make them nice?
What's that?
Then what about the ones that aren't gonna make them nice?
That's what the rules are for.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference in not having a
Wasn't
grain bin
someone-
that's an office?
Wasn't someone gonna put containers up on South River, that lot, and make them apartments?
Tiny homes.
They never came
Or
back
tiny
with a
house?
plan, yeah, they never came back with a plan.
So,
it's a for sale.
we considered that.
Yeah, we did.
Turn, putting windows in it, door and
Plumbing,
plumbing, the whole 9 yards, so.
But
That's
that was a
different than-
storage container.
I know that's
But just
different,
say-
but it's still making it look like a house.
Right.
correct, but the ordinance is no shipping containers used for storage.
Yeah,
That is different because they're turning them into
right.
housing.
Most of the garages in town, they can't put their pickups and cars in because they're using them for storage. So, the car sits outside because it's full of storage. So,
So we're talking about 1, 2, 4, 3, 4.
5, if the county wants to, or no.
5, county, Ross, post office, 3,
EG,
And
occasion,
next-
and this trailer,
and the one I'm getting next week.
Yeah. I,
3.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
the
a lot to-
DG on occasion, I don't know, I mean, they,
I could see.
when it comes in, it goes out. I mean, I agree that it's,
If it sits there for 6 months, I we need to write a letter and say, you know,
yeah,
what's your game plan?
Where's that at?
up at Dollar
Cause they-
General, cause when they come in, I mean, they're not permanent.
No, they are construction, they go,
Yeah,
come and go.
they go in and out.
Still, 3.
Although this
Changing
one they
the
brought
word.
in,
For
they
now.
colored it to
Well, that's just it, you're gonna get 30 and, you know,
Maybe, but if you make rules, who cares?
anybody? Carol wants to kick it down the road for 2 weeks.
No, I already made a motion to change it, and we decided for the next 2 weeks.
Was there a second?
What
There's
to
not a
change it?
second.
I know,
So-
Second.
that's where I'm at.
So the motion is to change it, but we don't know what we're changing it to, so
Don't
decide in 2
figure it
weeks.
out, figure it out over the next
Okay.
2 weeks.
And that is seconded by Justin. Who's in favor?
Except I
Do we
think it's 3
need-
weeks.
Three
It's 3 weeks till
Do
the
you
next
need a
one.
motion?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna, I was
Do you
gonna
need
say,
a
I don't
motion to
think-
not make a decision?
I don't think we do.
It was a decision.
Again?
Maybe
It
by
was a
then you'll
decision.
have more discussion within the
There's
public
one thing about it,
Uh,
Uh,
of what
Yeah.
you
city
think is
council,
good or not.
they always
Yeah,
ask
maybe the
them next
paper
2
will
weeks.
put something in
So
there.
they don't
I mean,
get
they can come talk to us all about
It'll
it.
be 3 weeks.
Public opinion.
I mean, we're
Within our audience, with all the concern,
Exactly. You're concerned right now, but you know, 3 weeks,
yeah.
yes or no.
I know that
Right.
if you approve it for commercial, you're gonna have a whole lot of people in here about residential.
I
Cause
just-
I've gotten an earful,
You mean
From-
wanting them or not wanting them?
yes, both,
Wanting them?
yes.
Yeah, that's what.
Cause I've,
Slippery slope.
We put it on the ballot.
There you go, go for it.
Leave it to the public to decide.
Bottom line, if you're gonna stick with the ordinance and pursue it, you're gonna have to give, especially Russ's, an extended period of time.
And I don't know why we couldn't give them 6 months.
6 months, you know?
But I think it would be in your best interest to have a conversation with John and kinda see where they're sitting on things, because Gordon's not really involved too much anymore.
Right.
And if it wasn't stuff that they were using on a daily basis and current business and stuff, then I'd be a little more easy going on the thing, but I think it's important that they if you're gonna go that route, that they have plenty of time to work something out.
And we can grant them.
We need to back up though. Was that a motion or was that not a motion? Cause if it was a motion, we need to
Motion
see how
to
many
second.
It was a
approved.
motion to not make a decision and a
There's a
second.
motion to
And no- So,
Well, we can't figure out all the rules right this second, can we?
so I don't really.
Well, then-
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know I don't know what will be accomplished in the next 3 weeks because you're not allowed to talk to each other about it outside of this. And then we're gonna come back in 3 weeks and I'm gonna say, what do you have? And we're gonna do this again for another 45 minutes.
Can you put it out there to
Public.
the other towns to see?
I think we've done that.
Oh,
We
we
could,
can.
we could
Oh.
put that back out to see, I mean, we could go
Okay, I
back through
just
and
didn't
review
know
to see
to-
what other, if they allowed them, what their stipulations were. We could go back through what we've received.
Well, we're gonna have to start over again because I would have nowhere to look where Leanne might have kept that. I don't know. I mean, I can try, but it would be easier just ask it again. Or did you do it in a council meeting?
It might,
She
some of
probably
it
put
might
it
have
out
been
on
on
the
the
shared.
shared, we could look back.
Okay.
it wasn't
And if
very
not, it
long
wouldn't hurt to
ago.
put it back
Some
out on the
if-
link just to see if we get different responses too. You know, something that maybe didn't apply.
If someone has their email open, you could go back to whatever meeting that was and have access to that shared.
I don't know what meeting that was.
I'm not sure either.
We can go back and look. If it was discussed, we can
And then
find
you
it.
could at least email that out and people can review it before the next meeting.
Okay.
Will that work?
Yeah.
That
Everybody?
sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no motion.
No
Just
motion.
grab
No
it.
motion. Pretty good.
A motion to not decide, yeah.
Table
A
it.
motion, yeah.
I think a motion to adjourn,
Okay.
We're on number 5 of 16
Yeah.
in the agenda.
What's
Getting
next?
closer.
Pictures.
Anything else?
Can we actually put this on old business for next time,
Yes.
please?
Oh, old business.
Nothing.
No, I still got property cleanup.
Well, it's already on
Oh,
old
there
business.
it goes, property cleanup, sorry.
If we're talking,
Here's
well, that's what we've
storage
been talking
No.
about.
That's different, where we place it.
Storage containers.
Oh, as a separate thing,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Cause it's
Says
not,
the 18th was when she was supposed to have it cleaned up.
Gotcha.
cause that other one's under
And I don't see how much.
chapter 8, this is under chapter 4.
This one's the Sheila Harris place, and she has made some progress.
What about that one house, Ron? They have the yellow, the stove on the porch.
Everybody that's got a packet has them. This, somebody can have this one.
These are today, dude.
What's that?
These are today.
Yes.
I drove by it as well.
So I think everybody has a packet, don't they?
Well, Kale doesn't have a packet, and I don't think Bud has a packet, but those two could share this. Oh, yeah, he does. So maybe it's just Kale. He could have this one.
I see.
It's right next to it, and then there's a.
The shit box in the front and the truck.
Which one?
On Spencer?
Is that this one? Or that one?
It's not on.
Maybe it's Larry. No? Who's got their tablet up? Just Kale.
There's also, on yours,
I might be using it if my hotspot.
Oh, okay. Well, I can go while they're looking at this.
yeah.
Yeah, that was one that I needed to. So,
Nice collection there.
yeah, this one's made improvement, but it's not,
Sheila's.
yeah,
It's better. It's
not
got
100%,
some.
yeah. And the, both of them, their time frame is out.
Yes.
Do you think additional time would rectify the problem?
I think Sheila probably would if we told her what to do. I mean, everything that we kinda told her to do, she did, including general cleanup. The stove's gone, the couch is gone, all that stuff that's sitting in the front yard's gone. So yes, I think that one would. The other one, I don't know.
The other one's got a lot of stuff.
Where is that?
Which one first?
Service station. Cause it's clear back. Next to you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's
Siding on it.
there's another example.
Yeah, come on, put siding on it.
Siding look pretty good, is that?
Is this the same house or no?
What's that?
This is a different house?
Yeah. This is the one that was, had the stove and the couch and all that crap out there. They got rid of it. So basically, all they do is clean this little bit up here, we can't see the rest of it. So I think she would if we just read her another letter.
But the other one is not enough progress to,
I don't know, what do you think, Linda? You've been
That
watching
first one?
too. Tell me.
Yeah, I don't, there's a lot of stuff.
okay, so have the sheriff's write a citation for the first one and another letter explaining what more needs to be done.
Yeah.
Has there been any?
We can
cleanup?
write the other letter, right? Did we write the last ones?
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
are, yeah.
You want us?
Yeah.
The first one, has there been any improvement?
First one?
Yeah. West London.
There's a car missing.
So, no.
There was,
Maybe you can't
one
see it
missing out
sighting
back,
on it.
but there was one out in there.
You can't really,
Maybe
what
we
you
need
go,
the front.
you just can't.
Alright.
Not a lot of.
Not a lot of them.
But there was a fair amount of progress made on the second one.
On the
Yes, yes.
Okay, so maybe we follow up with a letter and state it's been improved, however, this still needs to be accomplished.
I can tell. There's a letter written. I'll talk to Wyatt tomorrow. about
Okay.
sending him the letter.
And then we'll have the sheriff write the citation.
Is this a 30-day deal, or is it 21?
It is, you have 20 days. You have 20 days to alleviate any non-structural issues, and 10 days to request a meeting for the council to discuss like a timeline if you can't get it done in that 20 days.
When did that first one go?
It has the notice date for, you're talking the one that hasn't been,
Right.
West Webster.
it was served on 6/3. So today is the 20th day.
She called the office today, but seems like there's lots going on in the household.
Issue a citation.
Either that or give them one more time for him. He did it.
How many times we go?
Once. Right? Just one time? One letter's
Well,
come out?
that's something we'll-
But no progress has been made on that house.
very little. Okay.
I mean, it's, I don't know, and
I haven't seen it, so I can't.
We have the initial issue, right?
I think he kept it, I don't know. I think Wyatt kept it.
What does the letter say if we don't do it?
You'll be issued a citation.
You'll be issued a-
Okay.
Yeah, 10 days to request it, come in and ask for
Yeah.
additional
Yeah.
time.
You
said she did it, call today?
yeah, but she didn't call within the 10 days.
Right, she just called today and, this timeframe was up and there's stuff going on. So it's, the owner doesn't live there, it's a rental. So there's stuff going on in tenants' lives that are prohibiting. Cleanup, probably better talked on that.
Maybe Justin.
Citation.
Go ahead.
So subsequent letter for Dennison, citation for Webster.
Correct.
Okay. And you'll communicate that to the sheriff's office? Or Wyatt will, or,
Wyatt probably would.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that all, Dr. David? Streets, we took care of, unless you have something else?
What's that?
Streets? Do we need to schedule a special meeting?
Yeah, I had it down here. Tyler would like to have a special meeting on June 30th.
Is everybody available next Monday at 7 to have a
It'll
special
just be
meeting?
to discuss our streets in town.
Keep in mind that you're gonna have to schedule a budget hearing next week, either sometime this week or next week.
Budget workshop?
Budget workshop, sorry. Yeah, not the hearing. Trying to
I
get
don't
ahead
know
of
how
myself.
much time Tyler needs, you wanna go pull them both off at one time.
Mhm.
Let's do them both next Monday, would that work for the budget?
Yeah, I mean, we can,
I'll talk to Tyler, see how long it's gonna take, but I bet it won't take him that long.
personal budget workshop, an hour?
I mean, an hour, 15 minutes, it depends on how deep we wanna get into it, but yeah.
We'll be out here earlier than we're gonna be.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Does that work for everybody then?
That work?
We could have everything prepared.
Yes, for the budget? Yes.
I thought you meant dinner.
Yeah.
You guys are bringing dinner. Bud's bringing Subway.
There you go. We're gonna eat some. Yeah.
I believe there was a time when you guys would schedule budget workshops like at 6 o'clock, so you'd have ample time and supper would be ordered in.
Move.
That's something we can decide on.
You know, time to get here, Larry.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come early if you want supper.
Food, we got time to get.
Too bad, so sad.
Normal time, 7 o'clock, I'm
7
assuming.
o'clock, yeah. Everybody good with that? 7? Next Monday, okay. Perfect.
And I don't know how much time you need exactly, but I'll find out.
Okay.
I'll talk to
We
you.
should be able to get them.
I
Next
bet
Monday,
it's- I bet it's-
30th.
So this is just gonna be a special meeting?
Yeah, budget workshop in streets.
In a container.
It'll be over by 8:15.
No, we need 3 weeks.
Absolutely not. I will not be here for that.
8:15. It's
Give or take, yeah.
8:17. We'll be back.
My phone's about to die and I'm hotspotting. Could
Okay.
I possibly jump up so we can go through the ordinance that I redlined?
Uh-huh.
Just so that way if there's any notes I need to make, I can take them on the document.
Yep.
I apologize. Everyone should have something that looks like this. Kel, I think
Is it on the share?
it
No, it
was
didn't make it
supposed
there.
to be, but I don't think it made it there.
It did not,
Oh, okay.
but we got a hard copy.
You talking about for Idea Tech?
Yes,
That ordinance?
yes. Do you have a packet? Okay.
Oh.
All right. Kale, I can, while my hotspot's still working, I can
Thank you.
go off of this. Okay.
I
Huh?
don't have that. I have this ordinance.
No, there should be another
Anybody
one.
else may know? I don't need one necessarily.
That's not it.
That's not it. I have a red line version.
Well, that's the one that got printed. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's all right, go ahead.
Okay, so the ordinance from Idea Tech, the franchise agreement came in. This is actually regulated under Kansas law. There is under the municipalities, Chapter 12, Article 20 for franchises. It specifies that subsection D states a city may require a telecommunications local exchange service provider that intends to provide local exchange service in that city to enter into a valid contract franchise ordinance enacted pursuant to this act. Compensation for the contract franchise shall be established pursuant to section J. A contract franchise complying with the provisions of this act shall be deemed reasonable and shall be adopted by the governing body of a city absent a compelling public interest necessitated by public health, safety, and welfare. A contract franchise must be competitively neutral and may not be unreasonable or discriminatory. No telecommunication contract franchise ordinance shall be denied or revoked without reasonable notice and an opportunity for public hearing before the city governing body. And a city governing body's denial or revocation of a contract franchise ordinance may be appealed to the district court. So as long as this follows the terms of the franchise article, you essentially have to approve it. And I went through and it does, however, for want of a better term, it is poorly written. I don't know if they have an attorney who prepared it or if they just have someone in the business office do it. But what I would suggest is allowing me to submit this to the John Terry, who was the one who contacted me about it, and say these are the proposed revisions. They define right of way, and then they say they're going to use the term ROW, and then they proceed to not either capitalize right of way or use the term ROW. There's sentences that are weird. There's one provision that says, for each DAR facility, there shall be a fee of $100 for each DAR, or $1,000 for each DAR facility located in a public right-of-way of the cities shall be paid by Idea Tech. It doesn't actually say they'll pay the city $1,000. It just says it shall be paid. So I revised that. It substantially complies with the act, and so I don't know that you can find a reason to deny it. However, I would not recommend approving it until the edits herein are similar to. It doesn't really change the terms. It just reads better and more clearly, and I'm not sure what some of the things. There's a capital provider in here, meaning it's supposed to be a defined term, and there's not a definition for it. I'm wondering if it was supposed to be Idea Tech. I don't know if they like copied and pasted multiple agreements together. But
I guess go through and tweak it and send it to them and see if they're
Yeah.
okay with the changes, and then we can approve it after.
I guess I'm asking for permission to send my red line version to them and say we need these edits to be made.
Everybody okay with that?
What's the city get out of this?
The city, so the fee that it's going to, they're going to, for each facility station that they put in, they're going to pay the city, $1,000 for each facility. And then they're also going to pay the city 5% of the gross revenue as defined by the KSA 12.
And that
2001.
$1,000 supposed to be yearly or?
It's to be
one-time?
remitted quarterly.
Quarterly.
Mm-hmm. It says that there can be a fee a monthly fee per connection, or in the alternative, it can be, subparagraph 2 of subsection J states that it can be 5% of the gross revenue as defined.
Does the other, fiber going through here, is it on the same basis?
I don't know, that was negotiated before I was here. I mean, I would imagine, it's a state ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that it has to comply with that.
So we're getting something out of them now.
No, we're not.
We are not.
No,
We are not.
that's news to me if we are.
From,
That's news to me if we
yeah,
are.
we are,
I thought we should be.
Jen, are you aware of any, payments that we receive, you know, like the, I'm trying to think of the other people that pay the franchise fees, like those kinds of things. Vive? Do we? Oh, do we? Okay,
Or did we get it from Eagle before that?
okay. Yes, we do.
Everybody okay with Lauren sending that off and?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have
I just
anything
didn't
else on
want
your?
them to come back and say, well, the other one's doing it for nothing, why aren't we?
Yeah.
The other one's doing it for nothing, they're violating the state statute.
You know, that's-
Nope, everything else I had has already been addressed.
Okay, good, here, motion to accept and file the attorney report. Moved by Kale, second by Dara, all in favor. Now we'll go back up, visitors. But it's
No,
okay.
no.
Where's the?
Sorry and thank you.
I know. Theater report, is there anything, did we go over that the last meeting, or?
There's minutes out there,
Okay.
new minutes that you guys might wanna read, but I did wanna talk about when, the next topic, the marquee grants, I wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Okay.
So. It won't take long. So I opened up a grant for the Dane G. Hansen Foundation, and Chris is gonna be working on that. She's a collaborator on the grant. But a suggestion that I was going to make to the council is, and I've talked to Jessica about this next door, the Dane G. Hansen Foundation looks favorably upon grants when there is some sort of matching funds. So going out and asking for the full funding for the project, you're more likely to get funded if you don't ask for the full amount and can show that you're willing to put some money into it as well for a match. 20% is generally a good amount that, is usually used for a grant match. With that said, I talked to Jessica, and she said we certainly can apply to them to either ask for the full amount of a match or half of a match. Money-wise, what that would be, let me back up. The theater has gotten, since 2021, about $18,800 in donations from the thrift store and various things. So they have that, and I know that's meant earmarked for the renovation project. So, just so you know that that's there. A 20% match for, you'll see the marquee quote out there, it's like, yeah, it's quite a bit. But a 20% match would be about $4,430. So half of that, if we wanted to match 10% and ask for the other half from them, we could. We could apply for the full 20% next door, and then, you know, if they don't fund it all, then we would have to subsidize then the rest of it. I'm just throwing you guys out some ideas what you might want to do. Or we don't have to do any kind of a match. It's just up to you.
You have to apply through the foundation before you apply through the Hanson?
No. Jessica said her recommendation was to just apply right now to them for the match. Of course, they can't promise anything, so the risk with that is that then if we don't get anything, then we're going to have to do the full 20%. The likelihood of not being funded at all is, I mean, I feel like we will get funding. I just don't know how much they would do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, you know, if they rejected our request and didn't give us anything, then we would have to come up with the 20% match that we've told Dane G. Hansen that we're gonna do. So,
I'd say apply for it and see what we
Yeah,
get.
that's what I want.
so do you want me to apply next door for the full amount of 20%? Okay. I will do that.
Because if they fund part of it, then half of it, then we're, and if they just fund all of it, then,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay. So we'll do that, and we'll move forward with the Dane G. Hansen grant, and we will indicate that we are providing the 20% match by funding from some source. I'm not sure how we're gonna word that, but it'll be a combination of city and other grant, money, and we'll leave it at that, because we won't know how much we get. Okay, and that's what we'll do. Okay, that's all I had on that.
Hear your motion to accept the filed theater report? Moved by Justin.
So,
And don't forget the Pike movie is next week.
Oh, that's right.
Who made that second? I'm sorry.
Larry,
Thank you.
all in favor? And that's on,
There's gonna,
I have yet to get any information. Am I supposed to send money?
really,
So hopefully it got all worked out.
yeah, I don't know. They contacted Robert and Jessica.
Superintendent report?
Okay, so we got the forklift bought, we put it 18,750. So, seems to be good, for the starts, plus. Yeah, but then, I haven't really drove it much. So, talked about special meeting already. And on the auction property, we talked about getting bids from other people and me putting ads out. Claims to take it all to the Western auction, let them do all the advertising and crap and bids and stuff that way. Skip over it. I don't wanna sit around writing a bunch of ads and I don't think anybody wants to do it. Just let them do it. If you guys are good with that. And the county's gonna use our truck the last week of July, so they can chip seal. Other than that, right now we got 3 water taps to do, 1 water repair, and 1 pole change.
when are they gonna chip seal?
Huh?
When are they gonna chip seal?
Last week of July.
No what?
No what?
I don't know. It'd either have to be Wheeler Road or River Road, or that River Road, that's all we asked for, yeah.
Second by Gail, all in favor? Treasurer report?
Just have a couple of things. So, I think when you guys, sign the audit engagement letter, it was specified in there that it's gonna cost $3,000 for the library to get an audit done. So when we got the bill, we got an invoice for us, and we got an invoice for the library. So I told them that the library gets the bill, cause I had never seen one before. Lila and I did some digging around today, and that's new, basically because the audit's been taking them a little bit longer down there. You know, they've had some staff changes over the recent years, and so we get some clarification on the $3,000 bill for the library audit.
In the, I'm getting a look here. In the past, the fireman audit and the library audit and the city audit were all together, and the contract was for all of them. And this newest one did have it broken out in the letter, the engagement letter that was presented in December, I think.
I think so. I don't think it was communicated to you guys though. Unless you guys got presented the engagement letter, signed it, because of course we wanted them to do an audit.
I don't remember seeing any figures.
It was in there, Lila, and I pulled it up.
But if you didn't read it, you
I mean,
probably.
we signed it, we weren't enough to pay them. I mean, that's like, we can't put that on the library.
And then next year you'll have to make a decision whether or not you want to continue with that.
We want to have them pay for.
So we pay 3,000 and what's the library pay?
Nothing. So before, like Lila said, before it was just all included, but.
Right.
So, I'll read you the initial email from clear back in November from Danielle. It says, I just wanted to email you a notice. Our audit engagement letter is up for renewal, and I have changed it up a bit this year. Many years ago, the city audit fee was set up to include an agreed upon procedure with the library. In the last several years, the library has changed hands, and it has become a lot of time spent to get agreed upon procedures completed. About 5 years ago, as a firm, we stopped setting up fees to include them together due to a massive amount of staffing changes occurring at small cities and libraries. And instead, the library is charged its own fee if they choose to have one, completed from year to year basis. And then she went on to talk about, and this was discussed in a meeting, that they, you know, you guys had the option whether you wanted them to have an audit or not. You guys opted to have them do an audit because
Public funds.
Public funds, but the kicker was in that audit engagement letter, it specified, and I didn't see it till today, I never saw the audit engagement letter. What I saw was the bill, and I told them to send the $3,000 invoice to the library because I just thought maybe that's how it always been done, so then Lila, we looked some stuff up, so we have $3,000 bill for the library audit that needs to be paid. And I'm not sure springing that on the library because of changes that were in our audit engagement letter that probably weren't brought, I don't know,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a requirement that they have a.
Correct.
It's not, but we thought,
But I think we,
being public funds, it
Oh,
was
I
good
get
to have
that.
it. Yeah,
You don't have to do one every year, do you?
they're not required to have one, so they wouldn't have to do one every year.
For this particular bill, we just need
yeah.
permission to pay it because it was not clear to the library or the library board.
Yeah.
I probably need a motion because it is,
Moved by
$3,000.
Justin, second by Kale.
I'm sorry, who?
Justin Kale.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm still, this has been tricky, on this, getting a new phone system. I'm waiting for an email back from Next Tech. There's some, down at the plant, they've got, their fire alarm. Dan's talked a little bit about their fire alarm and then, the water computer. You know, and he talked the last two meetings ago maybe about, I don't know what you told him, that for the water system, like you could get a whole system for it to call you. Vibe says they can handle all of it. We can't remember what Next Tech said. The bids, I mean, aren't necessarily exactly the same. Vibe doesn't offer the same phone that Next Tech does. Vibe's bid, or Vibe's offer, it's not even a bid, it's what they would charge us each month, to have this phone, system. And it's a 60-year contract, basically. They just bring the phones in, they install them, you know, we don't buy the phones outright. So I'm waiting to hear back from Next Tech how they're gonna handle it. Next Tech is a little more expensive. I'm gonna give you guys my suggestion on this. We've been with Next Tech for a very long time. They,
Local.
Lenora, and I know when I first started here, so I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you know, obviously we have, regular phones now. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, they're really AT&T lines. So the city could have opted to go with AT&T back in the day, but they chose Next Tech because it was a more local company. It was in Kansas. And that's why we've always been with Next Tech. Not saying we have to do what we've always done, but, you know, Next Tech has served us well, I think. With that being said, I need to get an answer from Next Tech, on how they would handle the plant stuff, because, you know, that is important, because they need to make sure that the fire alarm's gonna work and that the water system is gonna do what dial or whatever it does. And so I don't really have a good answer tonight. The kicker is AT&T, now we're getting down to the wire. I started this project right before Lane passed, and then it got put on the back burner. And I'm not even gonna apologize for that, that was my life at the time.
Right.
But AT&T is starting to pull their landlines, and so today Neva stopped in.
This is cellular?
This would be like the cloud
Oh,
phones,
okay.
internet phones. So Neva with Next Tech she happened to be in town, so she stopped in, and nobody knows when AT&T is gonna say, when they're gonna call Next Tech and say, okay, we're done. But they're guessing they'll have about 30 days from that point. So I know we've gotta make a decision, but I wanna make sure that I've got as close to the same proposals from each one of them, and make sure, especially at the plant, that things are gonna work. So, since you are having that special meeting next week, could you make it a special meeting for the phone proposals too? Cause we really need to do something, because one of these days, Next Tech's gonna say, you guys have 30 days and you aren't gonna have phones. Because the likelihood of AT&T walking in the door and saying, well, we pulled it from Next Tech, but we'll take care of you. I think AT&T is phasing out their phone lines, so that will make sure that I've got what I need for both of them, to make sure that these are as close to apples as we can get.
Is Next Tech also fiber?
Next Tech would just be the phone system, because they don't offer internet service here. And initially, when I started this project, I was just gonna get a quote from Next Tech, mostly because we've been with them for a long time. I'm not sure how Vibe got involved. I think that's when I was gone.
Hospital might be Next Tech, then. Could be right.
The county's Next
The
Tech.
county's
And they're up
Next
here
Tech.
quite often,
Yeah.
so, I mean, if we had issues, they'll be here. I mean, we'll be waiting.
And I mentioned that there was
No, I
other
think the
services.
school has that.
Okay, and I wasn't sure, cause I think that was the meeting that I
They
missed.
started at 8.
And so it's been a little bit more tricky for me to get these quotes, cause, I mean,
So are both of these internet based?
yes, that's pretty much,
That's about the only way you're going.
Yeah, that's the way
You're-
it'll
You're
roll out.
down to
Well,
that.
where I'm going with that is, have you had less problems with Next Tech versus Vive?
no, Next Tech's only our phone system. It doesn't have anything to do with internet.
Okay,
So this is literally for the phone system.
did you say it's internet-based?
It's
The only-
internet-based,
The
but
only difference with Vibe is they'll have the phones and the internet. And Next Tech, you'll have the phones, but you're still gonna have to have an internet connection.
and we already have Vive for the internet
Yeah.
here.
So, that's
So
gonna
it's
be the
just the
big
phone
difference.
system that's coming in. So, and the one thing that I will say, I was disappointed in Vive, is when I then called them and I said, you know, we need to get a new phone system. And so I got an email and then a guy called and I said, I need someone to come out here, cause we've got several buildings, I need you to come out, look and see what we've got. No, we don't do that. We could do this all by phone, and then a few weeks later, they were calling me and asking me all sorts of technical questions. And I'm like, this is exactly why I said I needed a representative, a sales representative to come out, so he could come to City Hall and look at what we've got. Go to the library, go to the theater. It's been a little bit of a hassle, because then they ended up having to send a technician out here to go through the buildings.
I'm surprised at that because I have a tech from Vibe come to my shop probably every other month.
Well, this was the salesman.
Jeremiah?
Huh?
Jeremiah?
No, it's some gal.
I mean, it was the salesman who said that he does these over the phone all the time, and then started asking me like IT questions, and then wanted to know who our IT, you know, wanted to text me to the IT department. I said, we're small, that's why I wanted you to come look at our buildings.
That's what she came out for. She come out originally to see how to set up my phone system if I wanted one. And so I'm just surprised. I just
Yeah,
didn't think.
I wished it would have been that easy.
Yep.
So, I'll see what I can get next week, if we can add that to the special meeting, that would be great, and we can get moving on that, cause we need to get moving on that before we.
But you have not heard back yet from those two?
Just on that one question, as far as the water system, and so, and I shot that out about 4:30 today.
I'd say with the luck you've had with them, I'd say stay with them, but that's.
You guys see next to
Next
the
Tech
lot
does?
there because of problems?
Well, we can
No, I don't
talk
think
about
so.
I mean,
I don't really know what all they do upstairs in dispatching. I know they've been over there. They put a new security door for the election stuff downstairs where the historic room used to be. And so they were running cables to get that because it's a key code. So, different things like that. But they've been up there installing different things and doing different things. I don't know of any problems that we've really had.
that's all I had.
Mayor, motion to accept the file of the treasury report.
Move,
So-
second.
Moved by Justin, second by Dara. Got in there.
I kinda got,
Clerk's report.
Real
Can't let
quick.
Gail and Justin get all of them.
We didn't have anything for the pool report.
No, he's,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
People were talking
I
and
was
asked-
probably out.
They
No,
were
you were
talking and I
there.
said, Larry,
I was just
he said, I
sleeping.
don't have anything, and so I said, superintendent, yeah. He was quiet.
Okay. I don't have too much. I shared with you, if you wanna read it, the, ARPA report. Jen and I managed to get that done. She was here, I was in Michigan. We got it done together because I didn't have access to the report, but she did. But anyway, that report will summarize everything that was done, all the way that the ways that the funds were spent in the city. And so it gives you a good picture of how you guys used that money. So thought you might like to see that. There is an agreement out there from AirMed. We offer AirMed, Eagle Med to all of our employees, including you guys, the firemen, for memberships. It's a reimbursement thing. Whoever joins pays for their own memberships. They pay the city, and then the city pays AirMed for whoever has signed up. With that said, they want to know if you would like to offer to the employees the Fly You Home program that they have. It would work the same way if anybody signed up for it, same way. They would pay the city and we would pay the bill. So they're basically, the way AirMed looks at it is the city's paying for this for their employees, when really we're not. But anyway, I just need to know if you guys want that to be offered or not.
getting
You're
off, right?
offered.
Yeah.
Okay.
I question, a few months ago, I believe you were approached about offering, our other one, what's our other one?
Life Team? No, they don't have one anymore.
Massa.
Oh, Massa.
And I think you approved to allow that like for the judge, but you wanted to be offered everybody else, was that the case? And so have you been contacted by, have any of you been offered that? I didn't think so, so
Okay, so-
that's something we're gonna have to.
Follow up
ask
on
about.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll figure that out so we can get that offered to everybody.
Okay. All right, we already scheduled our budget workshop, so that's, all I have.
And your motion to accept the bill will be
Second.
moved by Gail, second by Justin, all in favor. Council comments, Bud, unless you guys wanna. Enough. Gail. Larry.
No.
No. Karen. Justin. Motion to adjourn.
No.
Oh.
Resignation.
Dang.
You are not getting out of that.
No, I didn't flip my paper over.
Oh,
Thank you.
more.
Done yet.
Council comments and I didn't.
No mayor comments either?
No mayor comments, all right. Executive session. Who's making the motion for how long?
There's how many?
Lauren's leaving.
7?
I move that Lauren stays here till midnight.
I will stay until midnight if you figure out the ordinance. I will happily stay until we get that done. Otherwise,
I'll stay at Kelly's house.
So it's for non-elected personnel to review city clerk applications is
For
what,
how long?
you've got 7 or 8, you've got 8 applications to look at.
I mean, I would think 15.
15,
Here's the thing, 10, 15 minutes, because all you're doing is gonna
Can we
look
see
at
if
it
we
and
got a
decide who
schedule?
you wanna.
10 minutes, can we get it done in 10?
I doubt it, 15.
Okay, hold on a second.
Larry, take it.
So moved.
Moved by Larry. 15, come on, it's
Sorry.
15.
Looking at,
15?
10, 13.
10:13.
So we get out of here at 10:15.
10, 13, and who's second?
Me,
Kale.
Kale.
We're out of executive session, no decisions were made. Motion made by Kale and second by Garrett to adjourn.
Already?
Alrighty.